Alright. That was a little weird. But we're here. What's up, folks? How you doing? Welcome in. You drop it a little bit. There we go. You're good. You're good. Hey! How's it going, everybody? We had a little bit of a weird false start there for a second. In fact, it looks like my chat app is also frozen. You know how it is. Like, literally, you know how it is. There's always something technical going on. Our internet, we wanted to do a quick restart because it seemed like the router was not treating us well. But we are back. Welcome in, folks. It is time for another deep dive looking at CitizenCon 2024. This time, base building and crafting. We are going to take a good solid couple of hours today and look at, well, I mean, maybe a couple hours. I don't know how long it'll be. We're going to go into a good amount of depth, though. Discussion, looking at the history, what was said before, all that kind of stuff regarding crafting, base building, the resources involved in those processes, and all that kind of jazz. Thank you for joining me. It's been a lovely week so far, reviewing all of the stuff that's been going on. Yeah, what is CitizenCon? CitizenCon is like the event that keeps on giving. We just keep going over the same things we just went over the weekend. But when it was going on live, we didn't have time to like stop and talk about it. So that's why I want to keep doing these deep dives during the week after. This will be the last one for this week. We've got our podcast on Friday with Luke Stevens, and then me and Mrs. Tomato are actually heading back to the States on Sunday to go live with my parents for a bit. And so there will be some downtime while we get set up over there and get everything figured out. So I'll probably be back about a week from today with you guys to kick right back off. And I don't know, maybe we'll put it up to a vote on Discord what we decide to tackle next from CitizenCon. But for today, I wanted to hit what I thought was probably the third most important thing besides Squadron 42 and CitizenCon Star Citizen 1.0, which is like base building, crafting. I don't know about crafting, but base building was certainly not something that was expected during the initial Kickstarter, because as many of you know, there was no space for bases in the initial Kickstarter. Planets weren't going to be something you could land on. You couldn't create spaces for you and other players, so it wasn't really an expectation. In fact, I think Rich was it Rich? I think it was Rich that was saying in the initial Kickstarter there were 90 points of interest. And now there are like hundreds in just the Stanton system. Like in the 100 star systems they had planned, there were 90 points of interest. And now in just Stanton alone, there are hundreds. So to give you an idea of how much the scale of the game expanded when planetary tech came online, we're now seeing the kind of down the line expansion of that with crafting and base building, which is going to heavily increase the amount of assets, the amount of locations, the amount of data points in the economy, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to dive into this in a little bit. Chat's not quite as crazy as it has been this week, and since I did the little restart of my chat browser, I can actually see who's here. Alex Moore and Rue Baston and Frisch Prince, welcome everybody. Mihai, Ecto, Brigadier Bo, my man Brig. Another new unique name, hello. Zero, Plywood Box, Aetherius, Hollow Barista. Any idea how to figure out when specific availability time limited sales ship is available? Looking at Polaris. The Polaris will probably be available during IAE this year. So I'd keep an eye out then. Demon Eyes, welcome in. Jor. I don't know how to say that name, I'm sorry. Easy Goon, good to see you. Balton, hello man. Daroff. Did you see that they iterated on what insurance will and won't be? LTI will be tier 1, which means you'll get the stock chassis and stock modules back. Yeah, that was like we went over that on Monday. Breaking it down into tiers and everything. Beast Wookie. Hey yo, how you doing? Rig, big Rig, my man Rig. Good to see you, dude. Toes Gang. Katsuleri, welcome in. Hope you enjoyed CitizenCon. Fault, Pi, Echo, Zeppelin, my Ohio man, Blaze, Blevin Space, good to see you. Trust, and Citizen Scott and Ian Sears and Jock Cop. Welcome in, everybody. B5. How you doing? Happy Wednesday to you all. Good hump day to you. I am going to sip on some water real quick. Ooh, that's good stuff. Mrs. Tomato, hello. Your name hadn't popped up because I had to reset my chat. Oh no, there you are. You're right above Daroff. I don't miss you. I never miss you. Well, I mean, I always miss you, but that's a different kind of miss, you know? Yeah, Richard Tyrer, for anybody who is watching the podcast I just put out, we just published Citizen Central. Mrs. Tomato's been on it with the podcast this week. We got a launch sequence podcast with Casa Black going over CitizenCon. And we just had a launch Citizen Central going going over the same event. I had the Astro Historian, 10 Pound 42, Red Monster, and Havoc on there with me. And we talked a whole 2 hours straight about CitizenCon. That was a good one. It's on the second channel right now. And I put out a comment and pinned it just to emphasize that Richard Tyrer did come out on Spectrum and confirm that AI Blades will likely be included in Star Citizen 1.0, but NPC crew will likely not. Tomatoes need about 100 liters of water, except in the Netherlands. Is that like 100 liters a day? It was a good show. You enjoyed it, Mr. Azai? Good to hear. Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of people came away satisfied from the show. I will say that the more time I spend after the show, the better I feel about it. Just because I have more time to, like, initial reactions are hard to give because there's so many things that you can forget about or remember or whatever. It's nice to be able to get some time to just, like, chill and stew on your thoughts for a bit. And the more I think, the more I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense with what they're talking about. That makes sense, yada, yada, yada. And also there have been, you know, the Whisper Mill is a flurry ever since that happened with, you know, whispers and murmurs from in and outside of different circles, some involving CIG, some not, and hearing some news about what could or could not be coming sooner than other things and yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to say any of them because that ends up spreading the wrong kinds of rumors that get expectations completely thrown out the window. So I will just say, like, things I've been hearing, I'm like, okay, all right, we'll see. And I think at least a year from now, man, I'm sure there's like a good clip out there of me saying something like this last year, but at least a year from now, I'm interested in seeing what we see. I wonder what I was saying a year ago. Somebody clip this so that I can look back on this in a year and be like, ah, silly tomato. Oh, how fucking little you knew. You rewatched the first day. I still haven't even touched day one yet, actually. I've been going through a whole lot of day two. I just finished writing the script for Star Citizen 1.0. I'm putting out around a 16-minute explainer video that I'm hoping people can just like send to friends who are like, what is Star Citizen going to be? That kind of summary of here is the plan and here is why, and this is what it revolves around, and here's how it works. I tried to get everything that was significant that they talked about in the Star Citizen 1.0 panel. The only thing I didn't include was the station defense things, because I think that kind of fits into the whole idea of base building and the danger of base building in lawless systems. But everything else, from the economy to the security systems to insurance and warranty, space stations, base building, guilds, main storyline, first 5 systems, all of that in one video. So I watched that panel like 3 times and put that out. I've watched this panel once more, and now we're about to watch it again. After today, I jump back into day one. And yeah, I want to, you know, get a good soak it all in. You know, we've got like a 13-hour plane flight this weekend, so I'm sure I'll be able to do some of it then too. And of course, Mrs. Tomato has kept me up to date on Squadron. We've watched the Squadron 42 playthrough I want to say 5 times by now. I'm like, hey, Mrs. Tomato, you want to watch a movie? And she's like, yeah, put on the Squadron 42 gameplay. And I'm like, oh. Your tomato hoodie got stolen by the Shield Maiden? Hey, man, as long as you keep it in the family. Oh. That statement has bad connotations, doesn't it? How about the Ironclad being teased? Yeah, that's an interesting one. Surprised they're going with that one. One amazing video idea for people that only just heard or don't know about SC would be, what is Star Citizen? I kind of try and do one of those at least once a year. I did one this year, what is Star Citizen in 2024? But I could probably do a more summarized one that doesn't go into the development side and just what the current status of the game is. Roles and permissions, all part of the new org tools. Can't wait for that. One of your early subscribers, question. If we build a base, how will we defend it as if it's on, if we are on a different shard? Also, how will we always log on the same shard as our base? Well, generally it will log you onto the same shard all the time, is what they've said. And I believe what they said about base building and different shards, I think they said something along the lines of only one shard would have the write capability to edit the base, while the other shards would just have a read capability and represent what's going on with the base. Can't remember for sure though, but that kind of stuff will come out over the next year. If everything shown at CitizenCon is implemented in the game, will that be a 1.0 build? Everything that they showed in the 1.0 panel, yeah. But we also need that stability and the polish. Like, I want to play Star Citizen and have it play like what we saw from the Squadron. Lycos, thank you for the sub. Maverick, thank you as well for the sub. Lycos, no thank you for getting me shot. I don't appreciate that. Automated shard affinity. I don't know, man. That sounds like something they would name something for their engine, to be honest. Some snazzy name. Automated shard affinity. Star shard. All right. There it is, Mihai. You got me. I feel you. Let's... Literally have to supply her with the gun she's gonna shoot me with. Careful! Careful! My face is beautiful! Ah, ow!
Thank you, Lycos!
In the chest, though?
Yep, right.
Starfinity. Mass Starfect. Uh-oh, did I lose some... I lost some sound there. Yeah, don't hit the moneymaker. Protect the throat. How do you defend your base while offline? Automated defenses, or you better hire somebody. I mean, and I think that's kind of part of the idea. Like, if you're not going to be online very often, maybe stick to something that's smaller. Because it's going to be hard to find bases. It's not like you're just going to trip on somebody's base somewhere on some planet. It's hard to find even flying around Microtech, it's hard to find the city, you know, and the city's freaking huge. Also, yeah, you could build in high security area, and NPCs will protect your base. All right, notification gang, you all here? Everybody ready to go? Are we good to go? Everybody's filed in? I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a chance. I know how it is. Sometimes YouTube doesn't even send out the notification that I'm live for like 5 to 10 minutes. Question from Todd. Do you foresee issues with large orgs controlling areas on one server region and then using that to be able to sell or inflate the market in another server region? Another, like a different shard? I don't think you will have like cross shard. Oh, I see what you mean. Like exploiting their space in another shard. I don't, dude, like the amount of space that, the amount of buildings that you'll need to probably have a real effect with a massive org. Like, let's take an org that's 20,000 people strong. How many people is it going to take to run a large base? Thank you. Hundreds? Dozens at least? To defend it for sure. because there's engineering involved with like replacing fuses and keeping things up to date wear and tear wise and all that stuff. And then there's also keeping the resources coming in, keeping the base profitable based on the taxes that you're paying unless you're in low security area. So like, let's just say that a base takes like dozens of people to run. You got to get a bunch of different bases, right? You're doing, I think it's 8x8 plots. So let's say you then make 50 bases, and that takes up like a small, little tiny portion of a planet. So you have to then be able to round the clock defend all of those 50 bases while keeping them profitable, while doing whatever it is you're going to do with them. That's crazy, man. I mean, again, if you got a org with 20,000 people, maybe you could do that, but I don't know, the logistics required to do that, especially because you know that people are going to other orgs will start to gang up and bully you and take down your bases, and bases can be destroyed. They can go derelict. All they have to do is hit your power supply, right? So, I don't know. I think there's a good possibility that doesn't become a problem. But if it does, I'm sure that's the kind of thing they're thinking as well, and likely trying to plan around. All right. Anyways, let's get on to the panel, because we got a long ways to go and a lot of discussion to be had. So here we go. Crafting your home in the stars? No, just crafting your home. Clap. Clap, everybody.
Thank you, Jared. And thank you, CitizenCon. It is an honor to be here. Yesterday, we presented the verse that we're creating for you. We shared new tech, locations, creatures, giant worm, social features, things we're doing with orgs. We even played the first chapter of Squadron 42 live. How great was that? Yeah? Few
Pretty
minor
cool.
glitches, but nothing we can't sort out.
Just a couple crashes.
So today, we got something just as exciting to talk about. But instead of focusing on what we're creating for you, we want to show you the world that you can build.
This guy was already getting distracted and completely off topic. This guy was in... He's pretty high up, right? He's like up there with Rich, I'm pretty sure. When they had Rich on... Is this him?
We don't want to limit them.
No, that's not him. Is that him? It's just very similar hair. Does anybody know faces or names better than I do?
Tech design and systems too. All the design departments for both.
What's your name?
And then I work directly with the teams on executing that vision.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Rick?
I'm the design director for.
Rick, the design director. Okay. I want to confirm. Where's your name?
Director Rick Porter!
Okay, yeah. Rick Porter. Design director. Yeah, cool. So he's pretty high up in the company.
But instead of focusing on what we're creating for you, we want to show you the world that you can build. With crafting, we're going to give you the tools to create your own loot, to build your own home.
Yo,
Crafting
what is...
will fundamentally
Guys,
change
I don't
very
need to get shot. That's not going to make this go any better or faster, okay? Let's calm down with the shooting and just watch the show. Jesus. Lux, thank you for the member, though.
Create your own loot, to
2.
build your own home.
2 is your number.
Crafting will fundamentally change not only how you play the game,
All right, guys.
but why you play the game.
Settle down. Mrs. Tomato can only shoot so many times.
What is crafting? Why does it matter? Why should you be as excited as I am about this? Well, first off, crafting is a profession. It requires its own set of tools, the knowledge of how to use them. Crafting offers progression. You become a better crafter by learning new blueprints and upgrading them. Crafting builds on the existing gathering professions. When you would go out and you collect your materials for crafting, we are adding new depth and meaning to those activities.
Thank you. Thank you very
Crafting
much.
provides customization. There isn't just one way to craft
Yeah,
something.
there's
Like I
two.
said, we have upgrades. How you make and upgrade the things you craft is sometimes just as important as what you craft.
Jesus, guys.
In addition, you can earn cosmetic upgrades, craft unique items, even subscriber flair.
Hey, thank you for the memberships on YouTube. See, that's much nicer. Thank you. Who is that? Lux? I appreciate you much more than these fools on Twitch. Thank you. Thank you very much.
But nowhere is this versatility more obvious than base building. We're going to have nearly limitless options for how you construct your home, how to customize your base to meet your own goals. Most importantly, crafting gives you a lot of new choices.
Thank you very much.
The choices will impact your goals in the game, your interactions with other players, and eventually how you see the game itself. So where do we get started with crafting?
Wow.
Well, you can't craft without materials. Luckily, we've got a lot of ways to gather resources in the game. And crafting is designed to complement and expand on all of these existing gathering professions, as well as future additions. Let's take a closer look at mining as an example. We've got hand mining and vehicle mining and ship mining. That's a lot of mining. But with crafting, we're going to introduce a lot of materials. So there's not just more to mine, but we're also going to specialize. So for instance, each type of mining will have its own unique materials to gather. Gathering specific materials efficiently will require you to use the right gathering profession. Let's talk about refining. Currently, only mining resources can be refined.
Dude, we've been waiting so long for player refining. Oh, God. So long. And it still looks like it's going to be a while.
But doing so allows you to turn them into more valuable processed resources. With crafting, we're going to expand refining to include options for all raw materials. In addition to expanding the variety of materials you can gather, refining lets you create processed materials that you're going to need to craft your upgraded blueprints. So now that you've gathered all these materials, what do you do with them? Currently, your only options in the game really are to sell them to a shop or maybe complete a contract. Adding crafting into the game radically changes your options. You can still mine, refine, and sell your resources, but now you have the option to make valuable and unique items, weapons, armor, even vehicles and ships. Right?
Clap. You better f***ing clap.
And by valuable, I mean that the crafted gear that you create has the potential to be better than anything you can buy in a shop. But crafting just doesn't end with shiny new gear. Think much bigger. Crafting enables you to build your own home among the stars. You choose to make a farm, a hunting lodge, an industrial complex, your own trading hub, a military outpost, even a sprawling town with your friends and org mates. Got a lot here, but it's all optional. You can choose to focus on gathering resources and sell them to crafters that need them. You can skip gathering and refining and just focus on being the best crafter you can be. Or you can leave all that gathering and crafting nonsense to other people and just focus on trade and make some money. But that brings me to my last point. Player choice matters. When a player makes a choice, they assign value. Players' choices about crafting and base building will drive player trade. The community's choices will determine the value of the materials and the crafted goods you can all make. The game will still have its own shops and economy alongside players, but now you'll have more options about where you invest and how you prosper. Now, I've given you a nice overview of what we're working on here, and we have a lot more planned for the future. But now that you're familiar with the big picture, I want to introduce some of my fellow developers to come up on stage. They've got exciting details to share with you about the specifics of our new crafting systems, important gameplay improvements, and most exciting, I think anyway, an update to base building.
Lycos, I got you.
To start things off, please welcome Jacob Taylor to the stage.
Thank you, Rick. And hello, CitizenCon.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Jacob, Senior Gameplay Programmer on Crafting. Rick has showed us
The way he
how
drops into like presenter mode after his first line.
crafting will link into a lot of existing and new gameplay. But I think it's time we get into some of the details. I'm going to tell you about the new game mechanics we're introducing, starting with blueprints.
Wait, is the spinning circle still there?
Before you can craft anything, you'll need a blueprint. Blueprints provide the recipe to perform all kinds of crafting processes, including refining.
Okay.
You can acquire blueprints through various activities. Some you can buy, some you can find, and some can be unlocked or earned in other ways. You can also upgrade your blueprints through research. We'll go into more detail about what this means a bit later.
Okay, real quick, I want to drop
So,
back
Blueprints
because
are
they confirmed in the 1.0 demo that blueprints aren't physical. I could have sworn they said something about that. Here, let's just go back a year ago.
The next area, or is it to be off grid and be completely self-sufficient? So with that, with your prep and everything like that, we've got blueprints. So the recipes, everything in the game is fabricated from a blueprint. Players acquire blueprints via reputation rewards, missions, or rare NPCs. With any blueprint, you can actually do research on it and then create different variations. With materials, ranging from the common to ultra rare, you might find them at the local shop or have to travel around the universe to collect them. Unrefined, refined, simple materials, or even complex components will all go into the fabrication.
Okay, so they never actually said there would be physical here. I like how they do have one sitting here, though. Blueprint. It's very clearly labeled.
to the recipe, and Rick already told us the materials you gather and refine will be the ingredients. But there's a bit more to it than that. We have a new concept for materials, material quality. Quality is a property we're adding to all resources you can gather. That's an abstract measurement of how good it is at being whatever it is. You can think of this as the purity of a metal or the ripeness of a fruit or
Ripe.
something along those lines.
I'm a ripe tomato.
This quality will be carried forward from raw resources through the refining process to influence what that batch of materials is best used for in crafting. High quality is more desirable overall, but is more rare, and there are still important uses for low-quality materials. More on that later.
I'm tier 5, man.
All
This is
raw
pretty
materi-
sick, though. This is like... This really changes the way that you go about your mining in game. Like, it's not just, oh, I'm going to look for quantanium, or maybe we'll look for some titanium, or how about some unobtainium? Oh, the taniums. No, you're like, hey, we're looking for gold, but we're not taking that cheap that you keep bringing home and making necklaces out of, okay? We're getting that military grade, quality, #1, bread and butter, gold, patented bullshit gold, you know? That I don't know what that is, but it's nice to have some variability in each material instead of just looking for one specific material for the monies and the good value. I think this is gonna this, like, forget about crafting. This makes stuff like mining and actually looking for harvestables reasonable. We've had harvestables in this game for like 3 or 4 years, and I don't think they've really mattered up until now. I guess not even now, but whenever this starts to be a thing. And that adds a lot of depth to the game. I like that.
materials you find in the verse will have a quality rating that's generated based on some rules.
Jake confirmed that base building's been in production since March. They really pushed that Q1 deadline, right? Because that was the big finishing announcement last year when they were talking about this stuff.
It's new IT person. We start development Q1.
So like, what was it? March 31st, 2024.
The same kind of rules you heard about from the Planet Tech team yesterday.
Yeah, this makes exploration matter.
You'll find the same material in many places, but with varying qualities. So you might want to explore to find the best. Some
We
materials
keep seeing real strong signs that up until now they've just been trying to put in the bare basics to make the game work in some aspect for us. And I really want to know, was it Squadron? Was it server meshing? Like, what is it that changes the focus of this from going to building the tech demo to building a game? I do think a lot of it is server meshing and just getting the game engine into a place where they can start to develop these more interesting and unique parts of the game. But I'm also thinking a lot of it has to be that just Squadron took up so much of the focus and the time. It wasn't worth it to take on big projects like these types of things because people were working so much on that. But yeah, it's quite the biggest message I've gotten from this CitizenCon, and even last CitizenCon too, was just that 4.0 is this turning point where 2.0 was like, okay, we've got a persistent universe. And then 3.0 was we're finally actually building the things that lay that base layer, the persistence, the bind culling, the object container streaming, the planet tech, the rendering engine. All those things are like the 3.x time. And now they're hitting 4.0 and they're like, okay, now we're actually going to build a game. Because I feel like that's what everyone's saying unanimously. It's like, oh, it feels like you guys are actually trying to turn this into a game now. That's good. Yay.
Materials that are already rare will be even more valuable if you can find them with high quality. But what's quality for? It's for item stats.
Oh.
Alongside quality, we're introducing a new item stats system to the game.
All right, I want to pull chat here. When it comes to item stats, this is clearly, as they're saying, going to make some things better and some things worse based on what they're made of. Does it bother you if they started to do things in the whole classic MMO, common, rare, epic, legendary tiers? Or would you prefer for it to just be, you've got this weapon and it has specific stats that you have to like figure out? It's not like there are classes to this weapon. It's rather just the weapon has
Thank you very much.
and that stats put it in a class of its own, but it's not really identified by some sort of a color rating in a menu. Doesn't bother you? You like there to be tiers? We don't need tiers. Figure out the stats. No tiers for you. Classic MMO is good. You like where they're going. Need to decide if it's realism, tactical shooter, or the Division. No legendary things, but doing crafting to make weapons better. Specific class, not a fan of color rating. It does bother you, no tiers. You're fine with tiers, just 1 through 5 is okay. As long as you can craft all the tiers, no tiers, just stats. It's just silly names. Okay, stats feel less limiting. You don't like it. It's about stats, no tiers. Jake talked about that? Where'd Jake talk about that? That'd be interesting to see. So I thought they mentioned tiers like 1 through 5 for stuff. I prefer that, and I guess you can actually see right here it says tiers 1 through 3. I like that idea where it's just you got a base weapon and then they just change the stats of it. It's not like you can find, like, I don't want to open a legendary loot box kind of thing, you know? No, that's not what I'm looking for. And maybe that's where they go, but that's not specifically what I would want to do with it. I do like, though, like, you see a gun on the ground and you can't tell what it is until you pick it up. Or maybe you scan it. And you can, like, scan all the different parts in it. Beep, boop, bop, Mobi-Glass, super specific barrel for future scanning. And it tells you all the different things, bullet speed and all that stuff that you wouldn't normally know from, like, normal technology. But, like, the whole, oh, you picked up a purple Volt pistol. Enjoy. Space stations are a lot further along than we all think. Oh, that's good. Chill. See, I feel like you gotta go to every Twitch stream to get the information on this game. You worry tier 3 will be too overpowered to the point you are basically unkillable. Weapons should have qualities. An item's effectiveness should be dependent on the quality of the materials going in. Yeah, well, they've talked about that for sure. You don't like color grading tiers in a game like Star Citizen. Yeah, I could avoid the color grading. That's for sure. You don't know if anyone brought it up already, but NPC crew isn't in the plan. Yeah, we saw that. No mystery loot boxes. No, don't want mystery loot boxes for sure. I mean, we have loot boxes in the game, and they make sense, but the whole RNG idea behind those. The idea that a weapon is magically more powerful because it's higher tier. But what if it's not just because it's magically higher tier? Like, what if it is specifically the materials that went into it? Either way, we'll continue on.
This will allow relevant properties of craftable items to be affected by the quality of materials used to craft them. For resources, just a single quality rating is sufficient to provide variation, but craftable items have such diverse purposes that we need a more detailed system to provide both progression and customization options. We aim to have meaningful item stats for all craftable items, but some examples would be the damage and fire rate of a gun, the wear resistance of a ship component, or even the satiation provided by eating a hot dog.
Dude, what is on that thing? Gross.
So, as I said, the quality of materials will directly affect the item stats, such that higher quality results in better stats. Most items require multiple different materials to make, which may each influence different stats. And in many cases, you'll have a choice of materials to use, which lets you decide which stats to focus on to tailor your items to your playstyle.
I wonder what the weight statistic is going to change. So we don't necessarily have a maximum weight limit right now. And I don't think they're adding that. I don't know. Maybe just the handling of the gun.
Here we see I'm making a gun with high-quality aluminium, giving me a nice bonus to integrity and weight. But someone sold me low-quality copper, so I don't get as much fire rate bonus as I could have. To go even further, researching your fabrication blueprints allows you to build higher tiers of an item with improved base stats. So a higher tier item will be better than a lower tier item that was made with materials of the same quality.
ADS time, yeah.
Making high-tier items requires more advanced materials, but is also how you access greater choice as to which stats to improve. This means that your high-tier items can not only be better overall, but also more specialized in the areas that are important to you. Most items will have tiers 1 to 3, with tier 1 being the most basic version of the item, and tier 3 being a highly advanced version made with appropriately impressive materials. But you can also...
Hold on, I'm sorry. I want to go back and listen to that again real quick. Because this is the important part about the tiers.
improve. This means that your high-tier items can not only be better overall, but also more specialized in the areas that are important to you. Most items will have tiers 1 to 3, with tier 1 being the most basic version of the item, and tier 3 being a highly advanced version made with appropriately impressive materials.
So I'm trying to figure out, does the tiers depend on the materials used, right? The quality of the materials used. I guess these are like the small details that maybe we'll get more information on. I'm trying to figure out what makes it go from tier 1 to tier 3. Did I miss that earlier than this part?
Tier items requires more allows you to build higher tiers. Fire rate bonus as I could have. To go even further, researching your fabrication blueprints allows you to build higher tiers.
Okay, so it's the research that hires the tier and the material that changes the stats
Of an item with improved base stats. So a higher tier item will be better than a lower tier item that was made with materials of the same quality. Making high tier items requires more advanced materials.
Okay, so it's research and materials. So there's a combination that I'm guessing isn't set in stone for each item that raises the tier of it. So it is kind of dependent on the statistics.
But it's also how you access greater choice as to which stats to improve. This means that your high-tier items can not only be better overall, but also more specialized in the areas that are important to you.
That's pretty cool.
Most items will have tiers 1 to 3, with tier 1 being the most basic version of the item, and tier 3 being a highly advanced version made with appropriately impressive materials.
I'm going to make my R97 shotgun such high fire rate, it's going to be stupid. Mihai, thank you for the 5 subs over on Twitch, and Saze, thank you for the sub as well. Tyrus. Twitch Prime subs, of course. If you have Amazon Prime, you can support a streamer that you like on Twitch once a month. I appreciate you for using that for us, Saze.
But you can also craft vehicles.
Higher tiers, higher base stats, material quality on top of that. Okay.
And vehicles are so important that they will go up to tier 5, providing a way for you to really invest in making your favorite vehicles excel.
You guys notice how they keep using the Spirit for the example, by the way, in this panel? It's because the Spirit is superior.
Of course, many of you have already bought your favorite vehicles, so you don't really need to make them from scratch, right? Or maybe you've pirated, salvaged, or otherwise commandeered a vehicle.
Wow.
Not to worry. You can still benefit from crafting by using an upgrade blueprint to increase the tier of an existing vehicle, including the usual stat improvements and customization. Upgrading a vehicle can save a lot of time over crafting it from scratch, so it's a convenient way for established vehicle owners to bring the benefits of item stats to their fleet.
Make my C1
Let's
up a
take a look
platinum.
in-game at the difference it makes to have high-tier equipment made from high-quality materials.
Oh.
See how the recoil is reduced on our high-tier gun. The spooling is
Somebody's
faster
like, "That's
on a high-tier
insane."
quantum drive. And a high-tier scraper beam is much more effective.
I will never use a low-tier scraper beam again. They make me feel so inadequate.
So, that's an overview of crafting's key game mechanics. I'll now hand over to Torsten to walk you through the full crafting process. Thank you, and have a good day.
Gotta see how crazy they go with that. Because I imagine they don't want to be too crazy about it, right?
Thank you, Jacob. Hi, I'm Torsten, lead system designer of the CGP system design team.
A high fire rate Nerf gun. Bet Mrs. Tomato would like
We
that.
now saw all elements of
Hey, thanks for the
crafting
sub,
blueprint
Superliminal.
individually. Let's bring them in order how you, as the player, will experience the crafting profession. You will start with acquiring the correct blueprints as the first step in the crafting process. As Jacob already mentioned, blueprints can be acquired in multiple ways. Let me give you some examples here. You can purchase commonly available blueprints, earn them from reputation and mission rewards, or even find them in loot crates. All content in our game could reward you with a blueprint. Some blueprints will be challenging to find, so players working together may find them easier to acquire. While you may find a blueprint on a datapad or other portable device, the blueprint itself is not a physical item. You don't collect them in a box or stack them on a bookshelf. Blueprints are digital. Once you claim one, it is permanently added to your personal library. This library This library is persistent to your character, and every blueprint you claim is yours forever.
So you find them on a physical object, you claim them into a digital library. But I guess that means it could be on a data pad, it could probably be in a computer, anything that can technically hold a digital item. Wonder how far they could go with that too. Like, could you technically find a blueprint by hacking some ship, some like NPC military ship? Could you hack it and steal a blueprint technically? Hollow Barista, thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate you. Thanks for following too. Welcome.
They cannot be stolen or traded once claimed. But it does not just end with acquiring blueprints. Those tiers of quality that Jacob mentioned are unlocked through blueprint research. Research requires a research data bank which can upgrade your blueprints. Upgrading here means that you unlock a blueprint that allows you to create a better, higher tier version of the same item using more advanced materials. Note, you will still have access to the lower tier versions if you want to craft the cheaper version. In order to upgrade a blueprint, you may need to perform certain actions. In this example, we need to craft 100-volt pistols and have one with a higher fire rate. Other examples would be collect resources, complete missions, or acquire research data from the Science Guild.
Okay, so this is like you're just doing a random task and then they just give you the upgrade based on that task? Is that considered research? Because shouldn't research be sort of like, I don't know, finding things or something, like something that's a little more science-based? It feels like this is sort of, I don't know, research feels like it should be more sciencey. You can learn a lot from making the same things 100 times. That's true. That is true. If you do something enough times, you start to feel like you can do it in your sleep. Skunker, thanks for the Prime sub as well.
In this example, we need to craft 100-volt pistols and have one with a higher fire rate. Other examples.
And then if you kill 5 people with the pistol, you're getting, I guess that like contextually those tasks can make sense. Killing 5 people with the pistol can technically be like, oh, you're learning how the pistol works. You're a very smart person. You realize that shooting someone in the foot is better than shooting them in the pelvis. That'd be really rude to shoot someone in the pelvis with an electrical gun. Don't do that. But yeah, as long as I guess the research kind of contextually makes sense, that's cool. But at the same time, like if somebody signed up for research gameplay as a science person, and then you're like, hey, I'm gonna be sciencey guy, Bill Nye, and then they're like, okay, kill someone with this. You're like, wait a second, that's not science. Luna Maria, hello, welcome to the chat, or good to see you in chat. I think I saw you earlier. But the machine is doing it? Well, I mean, I'm pressing the button. If I've researched how to press the button 100 times, then maybe I can press the button much better.
Example would be collect resources, complete missions, or acquire research data from the Science Guild. Research is time intensive, in addition to the action requirements. It will take time for the research data bank to process your research data and unlock the upgrade. You are also limited in how many research projects you can pursue at once.
Dude, how would you guys feel if these timers with crafting or claiming or building or research ended up having some complications due to like the optional subscriptions in the game and stuff? Like if you were a subscriber, you'd get better research materials or something. Hey man, they gotta make money, so just saying, time is a commodity, and if they're not selling ships, They might be selling time. Who knows?
Now that you have your blueprint and you decided what to craft, you also know what resources to look for.
But that's what I wonder. Like, how to propose do they make money? Sell cosmetics is definitely one way. But already subscribers get specific items every month, right? And those specific items will eventually have better stats or worse stats than other things that can be found. And I guess if those things are findable in the game, that's not so much an advantage as opposed to getting a time advantage. They'll just keep selling ships. Would you prefer if they just kept selling ships rather than dipping into their optional subscriptions? That would be interesting to know. If there were two choices, keep selling spaceships or use that optional subscription to give people some form of time-based advantage, how many people would say just keep selling ships as opposed to the optional subscriptions? Letting you know your org will crush all competition. Hey, keep in mind, for your org to crush the competition, they also need to have a decent combat wing. You say sell everything, you were bummed they didn't sell land claims on Sunday? I don't even think they're selling land claims. I think what they sell when they sold land claims was just that little base building module we're about to see in like 10 minutes. You guys would prefer they just kept selling ships? Time advantage is pay to win? As opposed to ships because you can earn ships in game? Okay. The subs are for producing the shows. Yeah, we're never going to get base building. Things change. Selling ships won't be as big a money maker after 1.0 once wipes aren't a thing. Yeah, people also a lot of times buy ships because they want to see the game be built. Granted, the game will still get built after 1.0, so people might still want to buy those ships just to continue to push that kind of progress along. Remove the delay. I think that'd be a good call, yeah. Or at least let people buy the concepts, but then as soon as it becomes available to them, make it buyable in game, yeah.
Every blueprint you find will have unique requirements in their resource needs. It will not just be you need iron. We want to make use of the professions we have to meaningfully involve them in the crafting process. Especially for the more advanced blueprints, you can expect that it will require materials from multiple sources. And, as already mentioned by Jacob, pay attention to the quality. If you want to have the perfect item, you also need the best quality. Here, the best way to find the best resources is to get out and explore the world. If you want to find the best hidden materials, then you get yourself a top quality radar. Once you collected the raw materials, the next step is refining them. Refining, like crafting, requires blueprints. Refining blueprints take primary, secondary, and catalyst materials and produce refined materials. The rule is very simple. The quality of the primary raw material defines the quality of the refined material. The secondary material you put in has an impact on the quantity and the time the refining process will take. An optional catalyst can speed up the process further. Let me give you a simple example. If you want high-quality steel, you need to put in the best iron you have in the primary slot. You can put any quality coal in the secondary slot without affecting the quality of the steel. But the quality of the coal will influence how much of it you need to produce steel. As an example, if you put in low-quality coal, you might require 4 SCU of coal versus high-quality coal that only requires 2 SCU.
You got to scrub that coal, you know? A great man once said, scrub the coal, make it clean. That's all you need.
This is one of the important use cases for low-quality materials that Jacob mentioned. You can use refining stations in the world as they will be converted to this new process. You can build your own refineries for yourself, you can get your org to help you out, or you can simply trade for the materials that you need on the open market. Now, we are reaching the final step. You got the blueprints, you gathered resources, and refined materials. Now you can create the item you want. And this item can be anything.
You say
You will
gold?
be able to craft anything from FPS equipment to vehicle components, even entire vehicles and buildings. You just need access to the relevant crafting machine.
This is so much. There's so many different items. All of those items will all have materials required, primary and secondary. All of those materials required will have different ratings of quality. All of those different ratings of quality will be defined by different locations they're found in and different refining processes. Just so much variability to be built in. It's like a completely different ethos from what we currently do in Star Citizen, because everything is so basic in the game. I mean, refining is already a time sink.
Talking about crafting machines. We will have a variety for you that differ in what process they can support, like a refinery or a dedicated vehicle crafting machine. We will also find them in various places. There will be communal ones like the station refineries you already know, player-owned that can be in your personal hangar, a vehicle, or your base. As all that we have talked about just now, these crafting machines also come in tiers. Here, the tiers will affect how well those machines do their job. You will not only progress in the products you produce, but also in the infrastructure to produce your wares. Just to give you an idea what you will encounter, here are some examples of the crafting machines. There's the
Nutrition and chemical, man. That's what I'm looking at. Let's go. Garden strong, baby.
nutrition fabricator, the chemical fabricator, an item fabricator, and even fabricators of a much larger scale we will talk about later. Talking about scale, I would like to talk about the future of crafting and the scale it will have in the game that you all know, and how it will change the game moving forward.
Starfab.
As you all know, we have a lot of items in the game, and they all require their own unique blueprints. That means our aim is to have more than 1,000 blueprints that include the creation and the refining blueprints. And each of those can be researched to unlock tier upgrades up to tier 3 or tier 5. That's a lot of blueprints. And it will surely take a lot of time to unlock everything. So I, personally, recommend that you, as the crafter you are, focus on a specific field first and extend your knowledge from there. Collaborate and coordinate with your friends and fellow players. If you are part of a group, we invite you to share responsibilities with your org mates. Maybe you will be the FPS crafter while your friend is a ship crafter, but they know a ship component crafter specialist. There's a lot of content, and it will continue to grow over time. You are free to be a generalist crafter, a specialist, or something in between. Pick the blueprints you care about and be the best. Have an exotic shield generator that no one else has the blueprint for but you. Help others and earn credits while doing so. It is a real profession in the game that will benefit from your dedication and attention. As you can tell, crafting will have a huge impact on everything in the game. Even if you do not want to get actively involved, at some point you will stumble over a weapon that got crafted by someone else and you will be using it. People will start selling their crafting goods or the refined materials or even the raw materials for the sole purpose of fulfilling the demand created by crafting.
I want to booby trap a gun so it explodes when some random person picks it up and finds it. Put me in that chaotic evil slot of the the player archetype.
Players like you can become well-known specialists that are sought out to get certain things crafted from. With the ever-expanding game we all love, we will continuously expand our crafting to offer you long-term progression that involves the entirety of our game. And you might have guessed it already, but there's one more thing that crafting is the foundation of, and that is base building.
Where it really gets good.
I will now hand over to Luke. Enjoy the second part.
You
of
gonna
this
infiltrate
presentation.
GII, steal our research,
Thank you very much.
sabotage? That's not very nice. We're just good people making our own home in Magnus. Leave us alone, huh? There's plenty of stars out there. Legendary space halibut.
Citizens.
Nothing but the halibut. I'm like slouching over here.
Who is excited to start talking about this next topic?
Yeah, it'll
Let's
take
get
a little
into
while
it.
for
My
Magnus.
name is Luke Gijsbertse. I'm the lead environment artist on base building structures. Now that we have an understanding of the fundamentals of crafting, thanks to Jacob and Thorsten, we can explore how crafting is the foundation of base building.
Don't worry about the exploding guns.
Up until now, everything in the game we made for you. From here on, we will give you the tools to build your own stories, your own homes, and truly make the universe yours. Join me on a journey on building our own habitable home on Pyro. Keep in mind-
Those things don't mix. Pyro's never habitable. Otherwise, people are not doing their job. Hello, welcome in. Sunday went from real to surreal to totally unreal. Yeah, it's gonna need more information on the space stations, huh?
That the following footage is work in progress, including its UI, design, and visuals. And we're super excited to share this with you. We found a beautiful location by a lake. This is where we'll build ourselves a home. To do so, we need some resources and the construction graph card. The construction graph card.
See, this is what I think people are getting when they like bought their land claims before. You're not getting actual land. They never sold land. I think these are the like beacons that you'll be able to get, because this is what defines if you can have land or not. At least that's the way I take it. No, there are no streamer clients in this game. That'd be funny though. We sit in the queues same as everyone else.
Allows us to survey the land, claim the land in a lawful system, and it allows us to build structures. As we've already found the location and don't need to claim land in lawless Pyro, we can straight dive into building our base. Keep in mind, the following UI is work in progress.
I like that throughout all this, they talk about how the camera is basically just a drone, and I wonder if that whole physical process will play out. Like you see a drone go up into the sky, and then it links you into this drone and makes it look like you're looking down through the camera of that drone, or if they're just going to be like, oh yeah, you're looking down and there's a drone there. Sure, yeah, whatever. Because that's a cool little I don't know what you call it, physicalized lore piece, whatever type of thing. Draws you in.
A survey drone that deploys from the top of the card gives us a controllable augmented view of the land.
Yeah, bases
In the
will
new
be
structure
derelict
mode,
if they're abandoned.
We'll pick a small basic structure and hit construct. For this demo, the construction will be instantaneous, but in the final product, this will take you quite some time.
No, they didn't sell land. They sold the ability to get land. So basically, they sold you the land beacon, but you don't actually have land in the game until they launch that feature. You go out and you find that land, which is the same thing anybody can do once they get one of these.
We've done it. we've built our first structure. Let's have a look on the inside. As we walk into the small basic structure, we see an empty interior that is dimly lit. It's up to us to define what we will use this space for. In our case, we will want to make it into a home. We can see that the lights are still off, and that is a problem, because no lights means no atmosphere, no breathable atmosphere. So it's not ideal to live in. So how do we solve this issue? We can improve this by providing the building with power.
Live in the
Let's see
helmet.
if we can build something that helps us out. But before we dive into more building, let's take a quick moment to enjoy the freedom that the survey drone provides us with and admire the aesthetics of our first structure. And I wonder what Declan was up doing there.
Ooh.
Keep in mind that base building is still...
Oh, hey, he's like... He kind of like... Did he despawn? Sort of. He walks in here.
Our first structure.
And he walks through the interior door.
And I wonder what Declan was up doing there.
Oh no, he's just in the shadow over here.
Keep in mind that base building is still work in progress, but what you're seeing right now has been recorded directly in the client and works seamlessly between first person and the building mode. Okay, enough. Back to base building.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I did not think that they would have things like liquid extractors and refineries and stuff. I mean, I know this isn't in game, but I figured they would just be doing things like little habs to start us off with. Granted, I did think that was going to be something like Q1, Q2 of next year. We don't know when this kind of stuff would come in, but to have everything from extraction services to power supplies and refinery systems, that it's more than I thought we would see from the first sort of release of base building. I hope that all this is included.
In the list of new structures, we see a small fuel generator. That is something that could solve our problem, I think. Power providing structures need to be hooked up to other buildings inside construction ER mode, but we'll explain this later. The fuel generator is one of several structures that provides power, each with their own benefit and drawbacks. Fuel power is quick and easy to build, but it requires a constant supply of fuel besides its regular maintenance. If a structure is not maintained, it will halt its activity. Players will need to maintain fuses to keep the building operational. The better crafted fuse, the longer it lasts. This is where the fuse goes on this building. Next up, we have a terminal that gives us access to the status of our building. And, more importantly, we get to activate it here. That should do it. Let's see if we got power in the building now.
Just firing off some light pollution.
As you notice, some of the crates in the background have disappeared as their
How about these trees though, sir? Is that...
content has been consumed during the construction process of the buildings. And it looks like Declan is now hooking up the power to the building. I wonder what he was up to earlier though. Wow, Declan has been busy decorating the place. As we can see, the lights are now properly working. We got atmosphere, and we can start to use the item fabricator now that there is power. Always handy in case we need a fuse. Let's have a quick look at what we've done so far. We've decorated the place. We made it our own little home.
Yeah, Declan just kind of cluttered up the place.
With power. I would say we have a place that we can live in.
Declan's like, here's my decoration,
much,
boxes.
But I think it's just enough to call it a home. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna take this moment
Now that we have a rough
to,
understanding of
I believe there is a bit of a, there was a bit of a interview from Benoit regarding different things, different topics, but one of the things he touched on was base building. Let me see if I can find the post talking about that, because I do think he confirmed some things about how this would all work given base building. Let's see. Schema transfer, the economy, yada 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 yada. With base building coming up, all the systems you would like to settle in. No, did I read it somewhere else? I feel like they did talk about base building and the complications about it. Maybe I am missing it. There was some interesting stuff in here about server meshing, but that's not really what we're talking about today. No, I think maybe I read it somewhere else. So I'm not seeing what I was thinking of here. How long do I think it'll be until the PU has server meshing and decent server performance? Q1, Q2 next year? I mean, I think we'll have server meshing by the end of this year, but decent server performance, I think it might take a little while for it to get fairly good. Outside of that, I also wanted to touch on Rastar, which is where this whole system is coming from.
Of how base building works. Let's dive into some of the specifics of what
So,
we
like,
just saw.
this whole view.
That deploys
This originally comes from their system Rastar, which reportedly has been a little bit difficult to work with, but they have been building out for quite some time. We saw it for the first time, I think, back in like 2021. Back here.
Basically, artists create small parts of homesteads that we can then snap together. Every part is modular, so we can interchange multiple ones in order to have procedural homesteads. Every change is very simple. We can change like the whole inside of a homestead, or only a building that is a part of the homestead. In that way, it's very easy to make a lot of different buildings. Once something is connected, it is considered a part of the whole. So it moves as one, it can be deleted and changed.
So this is just some clips that I found from before.
It works as a modular system where locations will in fact be made of small elements that will be placed just like you do in City Builder RTS editor. And in a matter of minutes, we now have a new location where we can now create a bunch of cool gameplay.
But you can see just like how not polished this system was back then. And even now, you know, they're still getting it into the point where it will work decently for players. But essentially, the system that they've been using to create outposts for quite some time is the same one that we're going to eventually use to create our own bases. And you can see how it's kind of been developing over time. This is a little bit more recently, like a year after that first one we looked at. And they did tell us back then that this would eventually be, I think they told us during like a CitizenCon. In fact, I don't remember which one, but they told us that it would be eventually the tool that we used to create bases in the game. And now here we are, finally. Yeah, I think I can link that post for you. Toss it in chat for you. But back to this.
The graph card allows us to survey the land, to find a good location, to claim the land with credits when we're all in a lawful system like Stanton, and most importantly, it lets us build structures. To use the graph card, we will first need to deploy it. Once deployed, we see two small construction zones inside the card, and the interactive screen gets revealed to us. From here, we can deploy the survey drone from the extended top part of the card. This survey drone gives us a bird's-eye view of the surrounding area using augmented reality mode, ER mode for short. Let's have a look at some UI concepts of how this augmented reality mode will look like. Here's a concept of construction ER. From here, we get a more detailed view of the land. Where can and can't I settle? For an example, inside a nature reserve, construction will be prohibited. Are nearby areas flat enough to place my structures on? Are there any underground extraction deposits nearby? And if so, what are their quality and quantity?
This is like one of the most exciting changes in the game to me, something I've been waiting for such a long time. Resources in the ground, and knowing that they are like long-term resources that you have to work on to deplete, that you can... This was the first thing I thought of when we saw last year at CitizenCon. They showed us a quick mock-up of a planetary surface map, which we still don't have. Very, very aware of the fact that we still don't have this, but they were showing this briefly at the end of the mapping segment.
Which will truly help you. Got a video now? And then there's our interior map technology, which will truly help you understand your surroundings. Better awareness of your surroundings and threats, exploring mapping new areas, pinning locations for later and sharing these with your friends.
I mean, that's data running. And they were teasing it already last year with this. And the idea of surveying a planet is where you get the data like this from. And taking that survey data, sending it to your friend, taking it to a space station to sell, just holding on to it for your org, that's data running gameplay. And we're like, they keep showing us different components of that, slowly getting closer and closer. And I know this is just a concept, but gosh, it feels like we're so close. That's really a big part of why I joined this game. This is really leaning into the gameplay that I've been waiting for. Exciting to see. And I hope that the Prospector teaser that we saw, whatever ship it was, one of the ships that is supposedly coming in the next 12 months has a very prospectory look to it. And I don't know if it's specifically a prospector, if it's a different type of prospector, or here it is. Like, I don't know if this is a possible rework to the Prospector, kind of like they did with the Reclaimer last year, where they showed the Reclaimer because it was getting modularity, and they're showing the Prospector because it's getting something else, or if this is a ship that just looks a lot like it, or what. But I do hope, if this is the actual Prospector itself, maybe they're talking about bringing it up to the standard of being able to mine into the ground, into resource deposits directly in the ground. Prospector Max, it does look a little bit bigger than a Prospector, eh? Like, these people, I don't know. I don't know the Prospector well enough to know if it looks like this or not. You heard it, salvage? That'd be weird. I feel like all they'd need to do for that is just have a different tool on the front. Doesn't look that big to you? Do you feel like it would need to be exceptionally bigger to make sense to make something that looks so much like the Prospector? Did I say Reclaimer? Misk Fortuna Salvager? If Misk made a Salvager, I would hope it would look a little bit different from the Prospector. But maybe it is a Salvager. If it's not a Salvager, though, Prospector DS, if it's not, I would hope that it was some kind of update that shows that it's doing mining in the ground. But I guess they wouldn't really show a new model for that. That would just be like a feature update. I'm just being a hopeful tomat. Was there drop-down cargo? Makes sense to be a Salvager if there's drop-down cargo. Yeah, I think we'll see underground mining. We've got to with this, with resource deposits underground. Got to be able to mine them in some way.
Are nearby areas flat enough to place my structures on? Are there any underground extraction deposits nearby? And if so, what are their quality and quantity?
Makes sense if it was dropping down cargo for it to be some kind of salvage, yeah.
Let's say we found a good place to start building our base. Then next up, we need to find a good place for our first structure. On the left-hand side, we can see that we're now in structure creation mode. Underneath that, there is a list of structures that we can build. Once you have chosen a structure, you'll drag it onto the terrain, that will be shown then as a physicalized hologram.
First Quantum made me want to play Star Citizen as a 4X game. Now this base building mode is making me want to play it as an RTS. Just build these other games, man. Why are you making an MMO?
From here, you can move and rotate to find the perfect position for your structure. Now that we have chosen a position for our structure, we will need to supply it with crafting materials. Just like the crafting interface that we saw earlier, this is where you choose the materials, and the better materials you choose will result in a better structure. Once you're ready, we'll hit the craft button on the right bottom.
You're gonna build a tier 3 outhouse.
Construction drones printing to the buildings. The automated construction drones will take off from the construction graph card and fly to nearby resources to fill their internal storage and then fly over to the construction site to print the building until their internal storage has been depleted. The construction drone then repeats the loop by filling its internal storage again by nearby resources. Printing buildings will take some time. Keep the construction supplied so that you don't delay the process any further.
Hey, thank you for the super chat. BB&J said, just want a cozy little desert hut on Daymar, blue milk and moisture farming. Anyone? I'll stick to regular milk. Maybe the strawberry stuff is pretty good, but I don't know about blue milk. Sneaky Doc Waffle, thank you for the Prime sub, and J Lou, you as well. Appreciate you guys.
Let's say our building did just finish printing. Then what? Then we need power. We need to power the building.
Get that power.
All structures will have an unpowered and a powered state that we can manage inside the resource manager. To provide structures with power, we can easily link generators to structures that need power in the resource management menu within Construction ER. We can also link multiple buildings together. And we can assess the power consumption and shortage of inside this resource management screen.
It's like Satisfactory without the spaghetti.
Keep in mind that operational structures, like power generators, require maintenance of their fuses and sometimes need supplies coming in and going out to be managed. Now that we have a structure and power, what can we do next? Then we can actually upgrade our structure. Structures can be upgraded from tier 1 till tier 3. The better material you provide, the better the improvement will be. Just like Jacob and Thorsten explained in the crafting presentation.
Low carb Satisfactory. I love it, man.
Tier upgrades can, for example, improve the structural integrity of the building or make its resource consumption more efficient.
Wait a second.
To make its
hacking level? See, now, they haven't really talked about hacking gameplay, but if you have resource management in the base, then hacking into the resource management system is going to be very interesting kinds of gameplay. Imagine if you could go in on like a stealthy mission. It makes me think of that game that we almost got that was going to be amazing, StarCraft Ghost. Imagine you go in as like a very low detection recon special ops kind of person into a base of a rival org, and you like hack their resource management system and make their mining extractor fail or blow up or something. Give me that sweet, sweet fucking espionage. Oh, yes.
Resource consumption.
Of course I remember SC Ghost. I was excited for that, man.
To really make your base feel like home, you will want to decorate your base with a wide variety of furniture pieces that can be bought, crafted, and found in the universe. It's up to you to define what you want this space to be. Do you want to decorate it as a hospital? Do you want to make it into a workshop? Do you want to make it into a luxurious bedroom? It's up to you.
A luxurious growery,
Furniture can
please.
easily be placed and moved using decorative ER mode as an hologram. This is so your furniture can easily fit through doors. This feature is accessible through nearby construction devices, allowing you to place down furniture pieces or even crafting machines that otherwise wouldn't fit through the door. And you get to place them directly from your local inventory. The less trusted among you, or anyone settling in Pyro for that matter, may want to mag-lock their furniture into place so that only you and your friends get to rearrange your decorations. And best of all, decorative ER is not exclusive to base building and can also be used for personal hangars and ships.
We all have to assume with how good these UIs they're looking, from their org stuff to their social apps to like some of this, to even like just the simple UIs we're seeing from interactions and zero-G movement and stuff, we're going to get something much better for equipment management on our players. The systems they've come up with so far are clearly placeholder, and I really hope that we get to learn what that might be, or even see what it is and get it into the game sometime in the next year, because equipment management on the player right now is such a pain. Such a freaking pain. Chimera, thank you for the super chat. How will servers react when all orgs and players have bases, vehicles, space stations, buildings, crafting, all levels are going on at the same time? They better have a lot of servers. I'll say that. You don't need an org to have a space station. You don't even have to have a big cargo ship. Just get me a 32 SCU box, empty it out of everything, put a little life support module on the inside, give me a couch, and there's my space station, man. We're good. We're good. That's all I need.
To recap, what are the essentials for any base? 1. Come prepared, bring the right resources and a construction device with you. 2. Use the resource manager, power generators to make your base habitable and functional. And maintain your base with resources and by replacing out worn fuses. And 3. Personalize your base, personal hangar and ship with decorative ER. And there we have it, our home in Pyro. Now that we have an understanding of the basics of base building, we'll explore how you can go and make more than just a home. But before I hand you over to Declan, the designer behind base building, I'd like to say a quick thank you for those who made this presentation possible. So a quick thank you to Eddie, Brandon, Jack, Dan, Mark, Xiao, Stefan C, Dom, Stefan T, Carl, Joel, and Rob for your efforts and dedication.
I really think that
Give me a warm welcome for Declan.
It's crazy how big a deal resource management is outside of just ships, which is really what we've been thinking for quite a while, ever since they started talking about it. With regards to outposts and space stations, so much possibilities there. I'm not necessarily talking about an inventory. I'm talking about like an actual equipment management app or whatever it might be. Something that allows you to organize stuff as opposed to just see what you have on you. And I definitely think it's going to be something beyond the loot screen that they built into Squadron and all that. Inside Star Citizen's probably going to start up again in the next couple weeks. They're definitely going to have Inside Star Citizen during IAE. So I would think sometime in November we'll see them start coming back. They probably said something more specific about it, but I don't remember.
Nice one, James. All right. Thank you, Luke. Good morning, everyone.
Declan.
Morning.
Nice decorating, dude.
My name is Dec. I am the system designer behind crafting and base building, and we've just seen a nice little base, right? That's good for cabin in the woods. Maybe you want to place it down next to big redwoods, go and explore, or a place to stash some loot you perhaps shouldn't have, but...
We're at 480. Come on, YouTube. Give me that crisp quality Declan.
Do you want to see a big base?
There we go.
Good, because we're going to industrialize. So we're going to set ourselves a goal before we do a video, and we're going to create a base that's capable of crafting something that's bigger than the item fabricator can handle.
I'm going to look at Star Wars Galaxies at some point, yeah.
So to kick us off, called in help of a friend who has a specialized, not yet revealed base building vehicle, and he's built us this. It is the construction hub. This has 4 automated drones compared to the GravCarts 2. They can build small, medium, and large buildings. So far, we've only seen small.
You're hoping we get instance org bases, our own asteroid to hollow out with the prospector, then fill with the walls. Maybe we'll get asteroids at some point. I don't think they'll instance them, though. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Oh, God, YouTube. It's really not that hard, man. Come on. We, like, streamed this live in 4K. Really? You can't play it back? What is it, the Star Citizen server streaming this in? Let me refresh the page.
Deposits, and we're about to have a place to call home.
Oh, God, it's live chat. Ah, my eyes.
Quite a big advantage.
Sorry, they're not as good as you guys. Dude, can I... 144p? Oh my God, did the hamsters downstairs stop running? Why can't I stream this? Our router's been acting really weird today, guys. This is wild. Just can't play it at 4K? Are you serious? What, did they ban YouTube too? It's a master mode's fault. Dude, what is the deal? This was just fine. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. Wow, fidelity. Oh my God, I'm immersed. You're not seriously gonna make us watch it like this, right? At least 1080p. Good Lord. All right, this might just be a talking stream from now on. Okay, you can do 1080. Now 4K. 4 times the quality. Give me Todd Howard YouTube. There we go. Yeah, 144 is ridiculous. What am I watching this on an Apple Watch?
Get down a generator, we'll connect some buildings together just so we have a place to call home before we begin. All right, there we go. So we've settled on one of the brand new underground resource deposits, and we're about to exploit it using this. It is our extractors. This particular one is a large solid extractor. We'll also have liquid and gas depending on which type of deposit that you've settled on.
They really need to be just playing some, at least make music that sounds like Satisfactory so I can play, like, wouldn't that be so funny if they had Pedro just make something that had that Satisfactory vibe that played whenever you're doing base building stuff? Come on.
We have our output grid here where we're getting all the brand new resources up out the ground.
Yeah, you got that.
And it is important to note that
there's planetary deformation going on here, which is you could go way back. I want to say to ISC. I think it was here.
More.
Is it here? Yeah. It's the first time we ever saw that they were planning on doing this stuff.
Being developed. So
Jack, can I
this is like 2021.
show you one more thing that I've been messing around with?
Sure, Will. Just don't get me in trouble.
So here I've put together our grenade launcher with a crater modifier just to see what we could do with this. And now when I fire a grenade launcher, we get a nice little dent in the terrain where I fired it. We can essentially...
Now, I don't know if this is directly related. I just feel like this is the first time we ever saw some kind of planetary deformation in the builder. And it took a while for them to do anything that allowed players to deform the terrain, but it seems like base building is the first place we'll be able to.
Go and create some craters. Obviously, this is me messing around. This isn't something that's in-game, but just something that I've been having a little bit of fun with. Hopefully, we'll be able to use something like this in the future, but no promises. This is just a bit of fun.
So now, just let us dig caves, CIG. We're almost there.
Once these things are set up, it's not a case of just free resources forever. On key structures like this, there are fuses which will occasionally need replaced, as well as environmental wear which can be fixed using crafting materials.
A jukebox. There is a gnarly amount of detail already involved in this.
All right, now we want to turn those raw resources into the more valuable refined materials we saw the process talked about earlier with Thorsten. Of course, we want this. It is our refinery. Once again, there are multiple types here. This one is the large solid matter refinery. We have liquid and gas again, as well as biological, depending on the type of materials that you're using and want to produce. Refinery has input and output grids. For input, as you might expect, it's for the resources which you're going to consume, and then the output is for the resulting refined goods. This is determining where you select which blueprint you want to use, and therefore which type of refining method you want.
If you're looking to get to the org page, just use the link down below here, or go to just type gii.app into your web browser. That'll bring you to the website. And yes, we will have plenty of bases like this. Oh my god, it's going to be a lot.
Here with our extractor and our refinery, so we're going to put down our elevator storage.
Oh my god, it just deleted a pillar of rock.
Base is really starting to build up now, but it's worth me mentioning again here that whilst we're putting these buildings down instantly in this video, large structures like this, they will take some time with the automated construction drones, but the smaller scale base we saw in the previous video, that can be done in a single play session.
Did you just say this is Unreal Engine? I quit. I don't have enough drink left. Greybox is just art, not actual implementation. I wouldn't say that.
We'll just keep on putting
down more. In fact, I can show you the exact video where they say the opposite of that. Check this out. So if you go to what they have to say about gray box and white box stuff.
And working with the tech design team, we can start actually adding weapons to it. We can start actually adding a rudimentary cockpit and have positions for the animations to work properly. So we can actually go into the game, walk up to this very blocky looking ship, press a button, and then climb into it and start flying the ship really early on.
Wait, this is too old to be reliable, so you think they've gone backwards from this? Like their gray box has gotten worse than it was in 2017? Anything past 6 months old might not. Okay, well, you can just talk to yourself about that then.
Or extractors, because we want as much as that valuable resource out the ground as quick as possible. And with base building, we're introducing the concept of a freight elevator network. What this will allow you to do is it will allow you to link multiple freight elevators together, and in turn they will share the same storage. So as we're doing here, We'll deposit an item on freight elevator A. And then we're retrieving it on freight elevator B. There is a distance limit, but you can daisy chain the elevators together to extend that. And it has to all be contained within the same base.
I appreciate that. Still sticking to the physical storage is pretty nice. It's not magical, so you still have to have people on the ground actually moving stuff around here. Like, who wants to spend all their time at a base? Just never getting up into space anymore in your space sim. You're just moving boxes around at a base.
Now, as we expand, we might want to invite more people to join us. This is easy to do. There will be permissions that we can set up, granting people access to our base, and they can even build their own structures if they wish. We can also give them access to existing structures, which is how you can form your org storage.
Nobody's standing on chairs, fake. Fake. Yeah, I mean, I'm not actually saying that's a bad thing. I would definitely spend a lot. Honestly, this would be... Okay, I feel like there is an opportunity for CIG to give people the choice of starting out the game in multiple ways. You could start it out kind of like a No Man's Sky start, where you're just stranded on the side of some moon or planet or something, and you have to find a way to get off there by slowly building up your spaceship. B, you can start in a city and get like that sort of corpo lifestyle start. C, you can start in a space station as like a Belta Loda, kind of getting the space vibe straight off the bat. Or 7, you could start at like a base, a groundside base, where you're like a scrub, a grunt, and you're just supposed to work your way up and eventually get off there. All of those situations, I feel like, would give you the opportunity of seeing a part of the game for like your first hour or two of gameplay, and then just unloading the scale of the game as you start to move away from that starting location. I hope they do something like that. I feel like they've got something very specific in mind for how everybody is supposed to start the game. But I hope that they can allow people to start either as like a ground pounder, getting into some immediate missions, or like a spacer, you know? Don't mess with the water, don't mess with the agua kind of thing. That'd be cool. I would definitely start out on a base like this and just spend 2 hours moving boxes around and getting into mining missions and stuff.
Now, we always want a safe place to store our ships, so the trusty hangar will do. See, it has this large, we call it a foundation tile. It's quite special in that it can actually deform the terrain around it, making it easy to place such a huge structure like this. You can also place other buildings on it, so it's easy for making large, sprawling bases.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
However,
a way to buy the game without buying a ship.
That we need to achieve our goal, and it is this, our very own fabrication hangar. Does anyone want to guess what we're going to build in a fabrication hangar?
Probably like a really, really, really high quality, really good ship that everybody should be just absolutely falling over themselves to get. I can't imagine what ship they would build in the fabricator, but it must be like the best ship in the game or something like that, right? Gotta be. What else would you build? Show off your tip-top technology. Yeah, this would have been a cool chance to unveil a new ship. Like you walk in and they're building the Star Lancer.
Looks like whatever it is, it's just about finished crafting.
Must be something amazing in there.
Of course, we were going to build ourselves a ship.
I feel like they could have not said anything about building ships up until this moment, and this would have been the reveal that you could build ships. But they just, like, they had already said it, so everybody was like, ooh, maybe it's a new ship. This is a perfect time for a new ship reveal. And then it was a ship we already know about. Granted, it's the best ship in the game, so, like, good move on their part with that. But besides that, this would have been an awesome time to either introduce a new ship or make this the reveal that we could build ships. fast and cheap. Get out. Get out of here.
So, quick recaps of the gains from industrializing. We've tapped into the brand new resources and we've made use of them by turning into the more valuable refined materials. We've introduced freight elevator networks, which are great for logistics and hauling. And then we've created our fabrication hangar, which allows us to craft big valuable items such as ships. Now, ships are valuable because you can fly them, you can play content with them, but because they are a crafted item, they can also be sold to other players.
That's where it gets real, dude. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a look into Star Wars Galaxies after this, because this is huge, man. And I wish that they got a little bit more into Star Sim and how player bases factor into the overall economy because of this kind of thing. But being able to make your own storefronts is gonna be crazy.
So, with base building, you're going to be able to set up your own shops, and there's two main ways you can do this. The first is using a dedicated trading terminal. You can link these to your freight elevators, and in turn, any items within can be listed for sale at a price you deem reasonable. This includes resources, refined materials, and so on. Using the terminal, visiting players can browse what's on offer, purchase, and then collect from that same freight elevator. The second method is to set up a physical shop in the world. By using the decorator AR we saw earlier with Luke, you can maglock items and then list them for sale. Once again, browsing players, they can see the price of the maglocked item, purchase it, which then removes the maglock.
Okay. Y'all know what this is the basis for? Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. Also, I actually asked the podcast yesterday. I had 4 different guests on. Astro Historia and Havoc, 10 42 and Red Monster, and we all gave our kind of estimates of what we could see being possible for Star Citizen 1.0. I think in 3 to 6 years window with the emphasis more towards 6. But I don't know. I really don't know, because once we hit 4.0 and server meshing, and especially once we hit Squadron 42, the pace of development could change a lot. Like, there's just so much. That's why my window is so freaking huge, because there's so many different ways the development could go. It depends a lot on how much money they're making, depends a lot on the progress they make with Squadron, depends a lot on how stable the game becomes after server meshing. So I think there's just so many variables that go into how long it could take to reach a 1.0 for Star Citizen. And it's too early to really tell, which is why they gave no sort of time estimate on their own end, because I think they're kind of in the same boat. But this is getting us ready for the merchantmen. And honestly, I was thinking, what's the point of putting in the merchantmen until you guys have player-run storefronts? And in my mind, I was like, player-run storefronts are pretty far away in the future. But here we go. This is it, man.
That kind of like
this is what it gets us ready
leading, shapes that kind of like lead you through the ship, as opposed to what we're so used to on a lot of our human manufactured ships, whereas everything's hard and angled and flat. Really, the only thing in this ship that's flat is the floor.
So the negotiation table has one seat at the top for the actual mediator, which obviously would be a member of the crew, and then even number seats on either side for the delegates to have their discussions. From the actual meeting room, you get a fantastic view of the cargo hold, where all of your goods would actually be stored. As you can see, the amount of cargo that the ship holds is colossal. And just the sheer volume of it gives you this cavernous, cathedral-like view of being stuck in the rafters of a warehouse worth of stock.
Yeah, it gives you a real sense of how tall the ship actually is.
Jesus,
when we get to the market,
so much cargo.
You kind of get a glimpse at that, but it's not until you get into somewhere like this that spans the whole, or not even the whole height. You've got the hangar above.
This also, though, gets us ready for this ship. I don't think we don't have any videos for that, huh? Oh, do we not have any videos about this ship?
One behind where the camera is. in the main cargo bay with the 1 UEC a day.
Yeah, here we go.
Shop the area cargo bay being the storage for those shops. And I'm now going to try and explain shopping in 60 seconds whilst not being Tony Zurek. So, the basic process for this is you have your Kraken privateer. The shops are modular, as you mentioned. They're, think, converted cargo container crates that have shops built into them. The Kraken will come with a default generic selection. If you want to change them down the line, feel free.
That last one was an alien ship, yeah.
You pick your shop archetype. Like I'm
this is
pick
the human
my
version.
Clothing shop archetype. I put it in shop 1 slot. I hire Paul, my shopkeeper, to run that shop. Pay him 1 UEC a day to do that.
Cheapskate.
I buy 500 Big Benny's hats.
And we're not going to have NPC crew as confirmed today by Benoit, probably not by 1.0.
Which takes up so many SEU of space, and I put it in shop 1's cargo grid. So each shop has its own cargo grid. You can't pull them all together and have one shop selling 1 million things. They're all split up. When that shop's cargo grid is empty, you need to go replenish it. You set your profit margins on them, plus or minus, if you really want to do that. And then hopefully make some profit. And for those merchantman owners out there, the merchantman's going to work in essentially the same way. They have shops, you buy stock, the stock is held in the cargo grid along with shared just cargo space, and the shops use that.
Oh yeah, my bad. It wasn't Benoit. It was Rich Tyrer that said it would be after 1.0. So now that we are seeing the actual gameplay thought process behind shops in the verse, suddenly it becomes more realistic to think that the Kraken Privateer and Merchantman aren't immediate additions to the game, but at least, you know, in the next couple of years, I wasn't even like, that's what I always am thinking to myself. I'm like, man, those ships are nowhere near coming. It's just, there's no shops or talk of player sales whatsoever in the game. And now they're finally broaching the subject. So that's good to see for people who own those ships. Hope you get them soon. Merchantmen owners, you guys are, you've been abused. Not as much as the Idris people though.
Of course, the nice thing with physical shops is you can genuinely make it feel like a store. You can put items on shelving. You can even go as far as to make your own ship showroom. You can advertise your wares on a Mobi Pass for UEC. However, it is important to note that the point of purchase will always occur at the base itself. Now that we know how to set up shop, I just want to take a moment to talk about why it's so impactful for crafting and base building the game as a whole. Understandably, throughout this presentation, we've been telling you why you want to craft all these things or why you want to build this big base. But maybe you don't have the time to build a big base and maintain it. Maybe you want to spend your time doing the missions, you want to do your beacons, that's how you want to make your credits instead. Shops mean that you can benefit.
Wait, did he say Moby Glap ass? Hold on, I missed that.
Pass for UEC, make your own ship showroom. You can advertise your wares on a Mobi Pass for UEC, however...
You said Moby Glap ass. Oh, I'm gonna Moby Glap that ass. That's pretty funny. That's a good slip.
It is important to note that the point of purchase will always occur at the base itself. Now that we know how to set up shop, I just want to take a moment to talk about why it's so impactful for crafting and base building the game as a whole. Understandably, throughout this presentation, we've been telling you why you want to craft all these things or why you want to build this big base. But maybe you don't have the time to build a big base and maintain it. Maybe you want to spend your time doing the missions, you want to do your beacons, that's how you want to make your credits instead. Shops mean that you can benefit from the players who do want to spend the time making those bases or crafting those specialist items, and then you can purchase them from them, which is very important because crafted items using high quality materials will be the most powerful in the game. On the flip side,
that's just gonna keep coming back to me. Like, no hate on him. You can make mistakes when you're talking. It's just a really funny misspeak.
if you do specialize, maybe you end up cornering the markets for a particular item or resource, and your shop will then turn into a hotspot of activity, making you loads of credits. Some of you will become infamous because of it. But bear in mind, a successful shop also depends on location. Do you want your customers on edge in Pyro, which tends to have the higher quality materials? Or do you want to spend time hauling them all the way over to safer systems where your customers can be more at peace?
Mm-hmm. Here at Garden Growery Services, your product is brought to you. Tell us where you're at, and we'll make sure to plop down a base within 10 minutes and ship. Why did I just switch from like a high-tech tech firm voice to a down south water buffalo salesman? We'll bring the base on to you. Tell us right where you are, and we'll get the proper pharmaceutical needs and green groweries down to your front doorstep, so you don't got to take your spaceship. You can take ours. I guarantee it.
We've talked about selling items. Let's sell the look of your base. We have foundation tiles, which can help you divide up the foundation decals, which help you divide up the foundation tile. You can place them freely wherever you want, and they just help you mark up areas like, I want to use this place for cargo, I want this for housing, vehicles, and so on.
Yeah, I watched Scooter.
You'll be able to earn paints in-game and apply them to buildings. As well as add your own custom text, so if you're part of an org, the blue buildings that have your name are definitely yours.
Dude, what if you like make your building look like somebody else's to trick them to fly over to you and then blow them up as they get close? Oh, all my evil ambitions are coming out this stream. I swear I'm a nice person.
We have some forms of base building which are either still in the design phase or early white box, but we want to share some details.
Farming.
First up, we have farming and ranching. Farming, it comes in two general types. We have our low-tech farming and then high-tech. Low-tech consists of you acquiring the seeds, planting them in the appropriate environment. If you remember back to yesterday, the Brave New Worlds, we had soil types and such now. That'll play a part. As well as supplying them with nutrients and then just harvesting them when they're grown. High-tech, it's a bit more involved because you've got to make the hydroponic buildings we see here, but in return, you'll be able to grow exclusive strains of plants.
Yeah, I think the illegal drugs will be consumables. I think they'll come from plants that you can farm yourself, and then you could just go around your greenhouse and chomp into the plants before realizing that there's a little refining that needs to be done before it gives you the extra loopies.
Ranching will allow you to keep herds of animals. You'll have to provide them with feed, water, and shelter. But in return, they will provide you with produce. Not every animal can be ranched. I don't really see a sandworm ranch anytime soon, but the quasi-grazer will, of course, will.
Space whales.
Not yet. Maybe. No.
Space whale ranch.
We have a few more additional archetypes. We have landing pads, garages, roads, fencing, as well as new variants of structures which we've seen today. For instance, the power generator, there'll be solar power, fusion, geothermal, as well as the XL structure class.
Geothermal power, does that mean that they're going to have, like, fissures or geysers? Like, they didn't even show that in Genesis. I didn't even think about that. But, like, are there going to be... I don't even want to get in the speculation game there. It's too much. It's too much.
So if you remember, everything we've seen today, the biggest we've seen today, rather, is large. XL is larger than large. And then you have your defense. So, in lawful areas, you have varying levels of security provided for you. With max security, you are protected by planetary shield tech. However, in lawless, pyro and the likes, you'll have to provide your...
That's like really important, I think people need to know, is that if you build a base in a place that is controlled by UEE, and they talk about this later on, it's not just, like, not everywhere in a UEE system is safe to build in. They've got, your lawful systems are split into low and high risk.
A mixture of high, medium, and low security areas.
So if you're in a high security area, which I guess is one of these planets, maybe the moons are medium security, I don't really know. You don't even have to worry about your base being attacked overnight or while you're not there. It's basically, you're good. your base is good. It is confirmed to be safe. You won't have to worry about that. It's when you start to get into the medium or low risk areas that you have to start thinking about, okay, if I've logged off, am I part of a group where people will be able to log on quickly, or what? How does that work? Because I don't think they could get away with just having it be like that for everybody. Like, you gotta have the ability to have a base in a place where you don't have to worry about it if you're not there. We have lives, okay? I'm sorry, I base build in real life. My bad. I gotta go take care of my house. Can't just be living it up in Star Citizen all the time. Planets are in high sec, but the planet has a shield the whole time. I think you're forced to pay the taxes for that shield. Like, if you don't pay those taxes, you're just not going to have a base, essentially. It's like not paying taxes in a city in real life. They're gonna be like, hey, I see you're not paying for this. Someone might be able to sneak in,
So,
maybe.
in lawful
Don't know about
areas,
that.
you have varying levels of security provided for you. With max security, you are protected by planetary shield tech. However, in lawless, pyro and the likes, you'll have to provide your own defenses. These come in the form of perimeter walls, shielding, which prevents aerial bombardments, and then a range of automated turrets, such as PDC to shoot down missiles, anti-air, anti-vehicle, and anti-personnel. To round up, whilst we spent this entire time talking about how you can expand a single base, you can, of course, have multiple. These can be across a single planet, moons across multiple systems. There are advantages and disadvantages of locations and base types. For example, in lawful areas, you'll need to buy your land for UEC, pay a tax to be able to build, and then you'll gain protection in return. In lawless, no cost.
Dude, I don't know where the heck I read what I read, but I keep getting flashes of the information that I've read just like today or yesterday about base building stuff, about the idea that as you build more and more stuff on a single planet, the price of that stuff will scale up. So it'll be much harder and harder to continue to build bigger on a single planet. Did anybody else read that? Do you know where that was from? Like, where did I get this from? I swear it was either Rich or Benoit or somebody who gave this information like today or yesterday. And it must have been, I don't know where that was from. On SC? You've read the same? Where is that from? It was a dev on Spectrum. Right. Are we aware of... Hold on. Let me see if I can go to the dev tracker. Shut up, Tortle. No, it was not 6 months ago. I see, my short-term memory is worse than my long-term memory. I don't know where this is from. Oops. This is not what I meant to go to. Man, I hate that they removed the dev tracker from the main page. Let me see. Destroy or relocate function of bases, do extraction sites, run dry. Okay, I think it was this thread. I think this is Declan who's answering questions here. Each extraction deposit does indeed have a limited amount of SCU available. New deposits will spawn when certain resource scarcity conditions are met. Just to be clear, it's a new deposit in a new location, not the same previous one. Abandoned buildings will degrade and fall down over time. You are not technically limited on the amount of settlements. However, in lawful areas, the cost of buying land for UEC and the tax is scaled based on how much land you already own on that planet. So it does escalate beyond an affordable amount at some point. Failing to pay tax on plot after X amount of time will remove it from your ownership, freeing it up for someone else. You can just also abandon ownership if you wish. So it's definitely like you got to be able to pay for it. And over time, they're definitely going to make sure that if you can't, you lose it and it becomes derelict. And I hope once it becomes derelict, they start spawning NPCs in it. They start spawning loot in it. You can like salvage pieces of it and get something out of it. It's a lot of opportunities, which is kind of, again, just insane that player bases can become POIs you can visit. These are the types of things I used to think they were going for, but at the same time, I was like, are they really going to be able to do that? Why you have homies claim their land, claim land all around you? Yeah, that's why you make alliances, I guess. Yeah, comm arrays will definitely be a thing, but I don't think like comm arrays wouldn't remove the shield too. So you still got that going for you. You got to take offline the ultra super nuclear power plants that powers the whole planetary shield. You'll be able to both destroy and relocate buildings. If you have a freight elevator on the base, then destroying it will refund up to X amount of the materials you used to craft the building, with the refunds being sent to said freight elevator. The amount refunded can be reduced based on how much damage the building has when destroyed. So I guess destroyed means like you press a button to remove it rather than blowing it up with a bomb or something. You will also be able to adjust the stilt heights of buildings so that it's easier to connect them to other structures on undulating terrain. We saw that actually during the demo. So they're still active in like they're here to answer specific questions. They put quite a bit of thought into this and they're ready to answer them, which is good to see. It would suck if they did all this and then people are asking questions and they're like, yeah, that's a good question. We'll work on that and let you know. How is this going to work across shards? Benoit. We have questions. Yeah, a lot of the influence for this game, I think, comes from Ultima Online and Star Wars Galaxies. I think, was it Tony that worked on Ultima Online? Like a couple of the people from there worked on Ultima. You can see different influences that a lot of them probably have their place in just general game design and development. But if you want to be the tin hat type, you can see influences from Crytek, from Ubisoft, from Ultima, from Star Wars Galaxies. He already talked about how bases will exist between shards. Yeah, I don't remember what he said. Do you remember where he mentioned that? The ship Q&A where they were like, hey, that's an idea. We aren't doing that, but maybe in the future. Yeah. Yeah, nice to not see those too much. If anybody knows where Benoit did answer that question, that'd be good. Correct that I said we have questions. Don't take it too seriously, man. Toes. I'm literally acknowledging that there are questions. Spore, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you. If anybody does know where Benoit answered that, I will try and pull it up so that we can see that info, because it is a good question. Do have but I don't think, like, we were just looking at his interview. Let's see, server meshing, dynamic, no. Are you confident that this will come quickly? No. In-game technology, base building. Yeah, he said, we want to make sure that if you claim a territory and build a base on it, that it's available on all shards. But I don't see much else besides that being said. Pretty major challenge, but it's really interesting. It's going to change the game a lot. Along with crafting, it's going to bring a universe where it's the players who make the economy, and I really think that's the direction the game needs to go in, and we're well on the way to doing that, and that's what I'm most excited about. It's interesting how little they're talking about the idea of it being player guided as opposed to player controlled. Specifically saying that the players make the economy is like kind of a strong statement in the face of the old idea of 90% NPC or AI, 10% players. And I wonder if they're even going to talk about the balance they want to hit there, or if they're just going to kind of be a little loosey-loosey about it. Do you know what panel stated that if the comm array was down in high security, UEE forces will not come? It could have been this one. Let me see. Let me see if he mentions it here.
Lawful systems will be a mixture of high, medium, and low security areas. Each of these areas will be monitored by law enforcement agencies. And depending on the location, will dictate the emergency response time, with high-sec areas being the fastest. Initially, this response will be measured, but over time will escalate to overwhelming force. This means if someone is attacked, if they can just hold out for a short duration, help will be on the way. Pirates will be able to disrupt this monitoring by shutting down the nearby comm arrays, but this will be highlighted in your star map, with dynamic missions being generated to bring it back online.
We have that already.
But this is the PvP you already know and experience right now, just without security forces. But before we jump into an unlawful system...
And golly gee, we need security forces. If we have ships purchased in store, do you think we will get the crafting blueprints for it as well? I don't think so. I think you'd want to have the warranty so you can get the ship back. What's up, Artemis? Thank you for checking out the coverage. Hope you're having a good day. Think they just want players to have the perception of control. Most people like that idea more than knowing they have no real effect. It makes us feel special. Part of the live interview? If it's all in French, then that's not really going to be very...
Merci Benoît de nous accorder quelques instants. Pendant le panel de vaisseau en plus, hein, c'est comme... Salut. Voilà, le panel qui effectivement là ils sont vraiment tous. On a plusieurs milliers de personnes. Bon, hier on a fait un pic à 21 000. On est vraiment la commune française est très très active et ouf.
Nous donne aussi un peu un contrôle sur ça, c'est-à-dire que si on fait plus de subdivisions.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure the only thing that he said, which was in question 3 here, was that they're going to have bases show up on other shards, but he didn't really get into any more detail than that. He answered it in English?
On a plus de cet effet où il y en a. On essaye.
C'était vraiment extraordinaire.
Vraiment un effet sur les changements de...
Est-ce que les gens savent un petit
peu de lawful system, puis ça va être chaud.
Il va falloir défendre, hein, donc.
Dans un 890 jump, ben on va donner un serveur au 890 jump, le Mission Factory qui s'occupe de...
C'est assez impressionnant.
Encore une fois, on parle de...
En fait, elle est pas permanente.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it, but either way. Why not just have shards just be totally independent? The whole point is to try and make it so that, like, the world is still connected to each other, even if there is a different shard going on. How does that mix with the flight and combat system? You can't hold out, just fight and win, or run and take damage. Wait, what? How does the base building factor into the flight system? The credits you get back for your insurance claim will likely be equal to the amount of whatever the ship is in the game, minus the wear and tear. The prices, the real world prices for these ships are not indicative of their price in game. Yeah, I don't know what's been going on with the servers. They've been rough. All right, let's get back to the base building talk.
Which prevents aerial bombardments, and then a range of automated turrets, such as PDC to shoot down missiles, anti-air, anti-vehicle, and anti-personnel. To round up, whilst we spent this entire time talking about how you can expand a single base, you can of course have multiple. These can be across a single planet, moons, across multiple systems. There are advantages and disadvantages of locations and base types. For example, in lawful areas, you'll need to buy your land for UEC, pay a tax to be able to build, and then you'll gain protection in return. In lawless, no cost, higher chance of better quality materials, but no security to fall back on. A small cabin in the woods can be great to set up in a single play session with short build times. However, the large base we just saw will take days, weeks, or even months, depending on how big you want to go. You might want to embark on this endeavor as a team or an org. You can set up a base as an org and own it as the org. For this, there will be permissions available, and you can assign roles and tasks. Ultimately, base building can be your main gameplay loop or a supplementary one, depending on what it is that you value.
I think for a lot of people, this is end game kind of stuff. Not in the sense that it's the most difficult thing to do, just that like this is what they want to focus on. Building bases, maintaining and managing the resources around those bases, and like slowly expanding that subset of infrastructure. So that's what a lot of people love about these kinds of games.
On that final note, I would like to say thank you on behalf of the crafting and base building teams. We've been very excited to share with you some of the work so far and the vision we have for these systems. But before we go, we have one final video.
What do you mean? We're already watching a video. Farming. Wow, did you guys see that amazing ship? Imagine, like, did they build a base around a crashed javelin, or did a javelin try to attack your base? That seems like a pretty big failure if you lost a javelin at a base attack. Dude, look at how many hangars there are there. Jeez. True, they could have towed it there. But if you're going to tow it there, why drop it in the water?
Say thank you especially to Kian and Zheng Shui. They worked very hard on this, and you might see that base again later today. So stick around.
Yeah, maybe they flew the javelin there and then realized they couldn't pull up. So
hello, CitizenCon.
I think the best part of all of this, again, I'm just gonna go back to it, is this. I'm so excited for resources in the ground. Holy crap. That is this is such a big deal for like so many different professions. I can't wait to see what they do with this. What's the point of going to a landing zone then? Yeah, they gotta prove that, right? I mean, the municipal groundworks are one of the things that I think make landing zones interesting. And they can do that in different ways in other landing zones. But for now, they actually did not make a great case for landing zones. Building interiors used to be that case. And maybe that's still in the plans, but they didn't really talk about it during the CitizenCon. So I don't know. Mission givers being at landing zones, possibly. And different specific stores and services being available there. But besides that, yeah, I don't know. There will likely be some form of missions that spawn from landing zones and stuff like that. But I do hope that building interiors is something that they talk about again outside of just the municipal works. That is a reason to go to Area 18. But I don't know what else there would be besides that. What's next? You don't think we got anything exciting as far as short-term improvements? They didn't talk too much about like what specifically is going to be 4.1 or 4.2 or 4.3. That could be a lot of different things. That could be our quantum boost with short distance POIs to go visit in space. That could be our scanning updates. It could be different types of missions, mining missions, investigation missions. Those are two things that they've talked about before. Not really sure though. We'll have to wait and see what they have on the progress tracker. I believe they said there's a roadmap update today. Is it today or next week? Did they put out a This Week in Star Citizen post? They did. Let's see. No roadmap update this week. So I guess next week we'll find out what might be coming up next year. Yeah, 4.0 is going to have some like uncontested zones kind of stuff that you could do, which is offering you some PvP and probably PvE stuff. That's something. That's some addition. Dang, this thing looks good. I wonder how much work it is to move this thing around and install and uninstall it. you gotta go to the landing zone to file your insurance claims. Gross. And then if you don't pay your extra fees, they don't let you take off because they've impounded your ship. The fucking man. Wonder how many of us will choose Pyro as a starting system. Brother. Pyro is a starting system, eh? So there's a little bit of talk here about the ships you're using for base building. Specifically, I think the Pioneer is the most interesting part. Important for instanced content I should be excited about. I mean, I'm not convinced on instanced content yet. We'll see how that goes. It was never really something I was like, you know, super anticipating of in Star Citizen. But I'm sure they'll package some cool stuff inside of it. Did they say there were going to be instanced encounters or missions at all? Yeah. That's what the municipal groundworks are. Looked like a moldy processed cheese slice wrapped around the hot dog. See, that's what we'll be selling at our food shops. Just to remind people of how great the food is they get from the UEE. Stop your complaining. Oh yeah, they did talk about instance fleet battles too. Here. Instanced content.
Players. While the sandbox element of Star Citizen will allow for large-scale battles, we also want to provide challenging instanced content that will take full advantage of not only multi-crew ships, but fleets of ships. And you kind of know how we do that, right? You saw that yesterday. And as you progress through the guilds, you'll be able to accept high-level contracts from government agencies who will offer prototype and military blueprints as rewards. These missions will require the full coordination of multiple players and an assorted fleet of capital, support, and fighter ships.
That's actually, that's pretty cool. So this is essentially saying that you'll be able to have, you'll get your capital ship gameplay and you don't necessarily have to engage in like org content or PvP. You can just have capital ship level scenarios mixed into the missions that they offer with the game, which is solid. That's kind of what we get right now with the Arlington missions when they accumulate into the Idris mission. But right now you could just take that on with like a couple ships and take the Idris out as you please. I'm guessing they will bolster those and make them more interesting for like a full group of mixed ships. Don't like how they made the Pioneer seem critical to large base building, but the Pioneer is quantity limited in all the ship sales. I mean, at least you could get it in game, but did they say specifically, like, if you have one of those constructor buildings that they talked about here, you get four drones with that. You can technically build large buildings with that, right?
Refine and or extract and refine materials.
So let's have a quick look over the updated interior of the Pioneer. So,
sorry.
And I don't mean just character metrics, I mean all metrics, because we're going to be creating a lot of things inside this ship. We wanted it to kind of become a true self-sustained mobile base. We wanted it to kind of, be kind of like the cornerstone of your crafting and construction ventures.
Extra large, okay.
And to do that, we needed to add a few extra kind of onboard facilities. So,
yeah, we have a lot of those in the garden, and that's kind of why we made the garden, so that people could borrow, use, and loan out ships and services as they need from our other org members. It's not just so that our org gets the services from our members, it's so our members can also get services back from the org.
The ability to refine and or extract and refine materials.
So let's have a quick look over the updated interior of the Pioneer. So at the back of the ship, we have the classic bridge, looks out over the expanse of the ship. And then top extra large drones can build. I highly recommend sticking around for the next presentation. It's about 20% bigger.
So this is where they talk about it.
Down into the belly of the ship.
So that's the Pioneer. It's had quite the glow up over the years. Holds 4 extra large drones. And if you're interested in finding out what extra large drones can build, I highly recommend sticking around for the next presentation.
Okay, they didn't really get into too much detail there. But yeah, that's mainly base building. And I think they do a pretty good job of showing us what it could be. Lots of questions still about how this relates to shards and everything. And I think how much can players like really get involved in this gameplay? I think a lot of the questions we have won't be answered until we're actually playing it. What is the earning potential of somebody who's playing on a base and doing farming or manufacturing and selling that stuff? How is it all going to work in real time when we're actually playing it? Right now, it's just nice to think about and look at, but I hope that this stuff gets in within the next year. Not within the next year, but by the end of next year. At least some of this stuff. Maybe not this like big time stuff, but some of the smaller stuff with extraction and power management and all that jazz. That's all I need, dude. Even from the perspective of our large org, we could do a lot with this kind of stuff.
Halt its activity. Players will need to maintain fuses to keep the building operational. The better crafted fuse, the longer it lasts. This is where the fuse goes on this building. Next up, we have a terminal that gives us access to the status of our building. And, more importantly, we get to activate it here.
I don't think we should go by the progress tracker to try and decide how long this is going to take. I do think that they've clearly made some good progress on this, and in just the months from March until now, they've done quite a bit. So I would guess that if they keep pace with that, January is kind of an off month for them, but if they keep pace with that and they're working November, December, February, March, we could see something by the Q2 update in June. But I don't know about Q1 next year.
As we can see, the lights are now properly working. We got atmosphere, and we can start to use
the way they're maintained with fuses is weird. I mean, it's just part of the resource network system. It's on bases, it's in planet, or bases, it's in NPC outposts, it's in cities and ships. 12 to 18 months. Yeah, that's what Chris said.
It might not be much, but I think it's just enough to call it a home.
You can understand if the Pioneer had deployable extractors, but in the landing gear? Did they say there's extractors in the landing gear?
Now that we have a rough understanding of how base building works, let's dive into some of the specifics of what we just saw. The construction graph card is one of 4
That's interesting. Let me see the landing gear.
A believable universe. And if you think about
Oh, they're pretty
the
chunky.
arm, and whilst I can't deny it's a cool idea, I think...
So you like land your Pioneer on a resource deposit and you can just mine by doing that? That's pretty nuts.
So we wanted it to kind of, be kind of like the cornerstone of your crafting and construction ventures. And to do that, we needed to add a few extra kind of onboard facilities. So, a med bay, like I say, the crafting area, the ability to refine or extract and refine materials.
So let's have a quick look over the updated interior of
Wait,
the
where
Pioneer.
did they say that it's in the landing gear?
So that's the Pioneer. It's had quite the glow up over the years. Holds 4 extra large drones. And if you're interested in finding out what extra large drones can build, I highly recommend sticking around for the next presentation. It's about 20% bigger. I know the jokes, we always make ships bigger, but to fit all that in, it needed it. It can craft small ships and vehicles. And one thing we didn't show in that video is the landing gear actually have integrated ground resource extractors in. So when you find your plot, you land your ship and you can start extracting the resources from it.
Huh. I don't think they deform that way, though. I think that it's just the same thing that we saw. Here. These lasers. Right? It's probably just like this, where they just are burrowing into the ground. Burrowing.
All ships and vehicles. And one thing we didn't show in that video is the landing gear actually have integrated ground resource extractors in. So when you find your plot, you land your ship and you can start extracting the resources from it.
But also maybe these resource extractors are not as good as a base focused resource extractor. I think that could be a good way where you can have the ship be able to do it, but maybe the ship isn't as good. It's kind of like the whole what's the phrase? Jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. Maybe the fabricator isn't as good, the extractors aren't as good, but everything can still be done technically.
Capital components all round, and now it has 1,000 SU of cargo capacity. Now the bad news. When base building comes out, this will not be their day one of it. But we are starting this in the next week or 2, so it is in production very soon.
It's going to take a while to make. If they're starting it in a week or 2, I wouldn't see this coming by the end of next year. But they did have it in that video, right? Like it's definitely here. Like, I'm pretty sure that's it, right? That's the Pioneer, yeah? Are they really thinking that they're going to be able to finish this ship in a year? That's insane. Like, how big is their ship team now that they are thinking they're going to have the Perseus, the Ironclad, the Pioneer, and whatever the heck, what is it? Where is it? This? I know people keep calling this a baby Corsair, but this is a pretty big ship. Look at how big it is compared to this person down here. Like, this thing's pretty large. I do think it's Drake. But this is a lot of big shippery to deliver in the next 12 months. This is also, I think this is the Star Lancer. Perseus, Ironclad, Pioneer. That's a lot. Holy crap. They said starting work in the next 12 months. Should probably go back and confirm that, yeah.
We'll do the classic one last thing. CitizenCon is usually about looking forwards, but we'll do some housekeeping and look at the now and a bit before. So, oh, sorry, this is Ben.
Yeah, so you remember last year we teased these 10 vehicle silhouettes. Now, yeah. So far we've delivered 6. We've delivered the Pulse, the X1, the Medvac, the Argo MPUV 1T, the RSI Zeus, and the rework on the Retaliator. Oh, but what about the rest? Sorry.
So, all but one of these will be released before the end of the year. So,
man, what the heck happened? Like, hacking is the next salvage. It's crazy whatever is going on with hacking gameplay. It's gonna be funny whenever we do get it.
the Legionnaire is the one that's going to miss out, and that's because we want to align it with hacking gameplay. But the rest will be here before the end of the year. So, Crusader Intrepid, Mariah Guardian, and the Polaris. So, we have a few patches between where I am today standing on stage and the end of the year, but let's start with some things that you're going to see at IAE.
Okay, so this is IAE stuff, which is the medical Terrapin. I believe this is the Crusader Intrepid, which they literally just told us we'd be getting. And then the Polaris. Those are the kind of the three. And then obviously they didn't even show us the Guardian, which is kind of funny. I guess they're really keeping that one under wraps. But then dude, the Polaris is so freaking big.
Okay, so on top of those ships we've talked about, we also worked on a number of other ships this year. So we're just going to quickly go through them before we get on to what we're doing next. So we delivered the Sulen, the Storm, the Cutter Rambler, the F7A and F7C Mark IIs. So I always get tongue-twisted with these. And the F7A Mark Is.
They also did the Santok EI, the Sabre Firebird, the Peregrine, and then most recently, the Argo Atlas.
So 8 vehicles.
So, like last year, where we did a little tease, can't just leave without teasing a little bit more. So, let's have a quick look at just some, emphasis on some, of the vehicles that we're working on in the next 12 months.
Okay, so this is just what they're working on in the next 12 months, not what they will deliver. Y'all ready? Cool. So that doesn't necessarily mean we will see the Pioneer and the Ironclad and all of that. This is just what they're working on. Okay, that's a little more realistic because this is a lot of stuff. I don't know what this is. This looks sick. I really like the look of this. Do we know what this is? You think it's a semantic mistake and you think they mean what they intend to deliver? I would take it at its word unless they specify otherwise. Cause that's it's the Apollo? Is it? I guess I haven't seen the Apollo from this angle before. They don't really give us any shots from that angle. The Apollo doesn't have these antennas on the front, though. At least, I guess not there, maybe. Oh, yes, it does. In the concept art, it does. It's got the antennas. Does it have fins sticking downwards? Yeah, it does. Antennas off the back? Yes, it does. Turret on the top? Yes, it does. Yeah. Yeah, wow. Dude, the Apollo looks really cool from the side. I was never that crazy about it from above, but it looks sick from the side. I love this. Gosh, I wish I could outfit this to be more exploration focused and less medical. Maybe the modular inside will allow you to take away some of the bed for something else, but That's a cool looking ship. Chill. All right. Anyways, we're getting distracted. This was the base building deep dive. I hope you guys got to learn a couple different things from this, and are as excited about this as the guy who started out the presentation said he was. Who was that? What's his name again? Rick? Because this is pretty exciting. This is going to change the game quite a bit, and I think we're going to be going over this quite a bit over the next several months as they give us some updates on this, as they talk about it in monthly reports. If y'all like this kind of coverage, if you like just talking about the development going on with this, I do this every week. Usually it's on Mondays, but sometimes I do it on Wednesdays, and specifically during CitizenCon season or IAE, I do it pretty much every day of the week that I am streaming. Really appreciate y'all joining. It's been good times. But like I said, these are regular deep dives. We do them all the time. You can find them in a more succinct form on my second channel, Space Tomato 2. Or you can come join us live around the same times. We'll be going back to the US on Sunday, so the time might change just a little bit by maybe an hour, but I'll make sure to make a post on Discord to let you guys know when that's happening. And we'll probably have a streamathon in the week or two after we go back over there to kind of celebrate the move. We'll be moving in with my parents for a little bit, and hopefully we can find an apartment over there sometime in the next several months. For now, though, we're going to go do some cooking. And today we are making Turkish breakfast dishes with Mrs. Tomato in the kitchen. We love our cooking streams. They're tons of fun. You guys are great chats. And today we're going to whip out the tequila, have a little something to drink, throw back for a bit, and just like relax for the next couple hours. We can talk base building. We can talk CitizenCon. Mrs. Tomato has plenty to share about her feelings on CitizenCon, so you guys can ask her questions too. But it's going to be, you know, the same as always is. It'll be our last cooking stream over here in Turkey with our own kitchen. So after this, we'll be going and using my parents' kitchen. We'll see how that goes. But for now, I hope you guys do decide to join us. Next stream will be on Friday. I will be going live with Luke Stevens for a talk about Star Citizen, his view of it from the outside, a skeptical look in on it. I will be doing some you know, asking him questions of his own, you know, view of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. He'll be asking me plenty of questions. If you are a supporter on the Discord, we will be posting a thread where you can post your own questions in there that we might be able to whip at him a little bit and see if he has anything specific to say or share on his thoughts with those specifics. But I will see you guys for that stream, and then I will see you also on Saturday, where we will be going over the... we might do some more gameplay, but most likely we'll be doing some more CitizenCon review stuff. Why are we leaving Turkey? Multiple reasons. It's, you know, go down the list. Want to say you're stoked to experience a modern Star Wars Galaxies. Been really hoping this is the direction it's going in. Hello! Welcome to the chat. Yeah. Same here. Very excited to see how they go about it with this kind of stuff. Hey, DJ Knight, good to see you, dude. Thanks for dropping by the chat, man. Tomatoes out, yeah. We're about to go cook with tomatoes, though. Like I said, we're about to do our cooking stream, which we do weekly, and it is going to be... thanks for giving that man a shout out. Appreciate you, DJ Knight. Love your content, dude. Love listening to what you have to say. Hell yeah, gonna milk that CitizenCon content, dude. It happens once a year, baby. We deep dive every panel. That's how it is. That's why I make my content, talking about the development. But yeah, we're gonna go make some Turkish dishes with the best Turkish chef I've ever met. And I think she is live on the other channel. No, not yet. Soon, TM. No, thank you for the stream. Oh, I moved to Turkey because my wife's here. My wife is from here. She's born here. We're in her hometown. We're not moving back to America permanently. We're just going to stay with my parents for a bit. I mean, that's where we like. We want to settle down over there, but we'll be visiting back here because we have a lovely niece that we love oh so much. We can't go very long without seeing her. If you're on YouTube and you're looking to get over to the cooking stream, Miss Tomato is dropping the link on there. I'll drop it again for you guys to see. Go ahead and click in on that. Should be live in the next couple seconds. I am not able to see it for some reason. I will be right back, folks. All right. So, the other computer's not working. You know how it is. Technical difficulties, always the most fun. So I guess we're going to keep talking about base building for a little while. Tell me your worries. Tell me your deepest, darkest base building secrets. How many people in chat actually played Star Wars Galaxies? Because I've been seeing, like, we've talked about this a lot. In fact, there was a, I bet if you search like Star Citizen, Star Wars Galaxies, I had an interview with Morphologists a while ago. Yeah. And I took a clip from that podcast where we actually talked about how this felt like a Star Wars Galaxies successor. And, wow, there's like this guy posts, I guess, videos that say Star Wars Galaxies is better than Star Citizen. But we talked about how it was like kind of similar in a way. And I guess that comparison is kind of sticking, like more and more as it develops. People continue to make that comparison. But I never played it. I never got to play it. It was before my time. I didn't play MMOs really that much before, actually. Lurch Lord, you were OG all day? Star Wars Galaxy was its own thing? What do you mean by that? Say the Fury and the Guardian are the same ship if you only saw their silhouette. I don't know, the Guardian's silhouette looks really cool. This thing looks sick. Oh man, that thing looks so cool. Like, I might get this just for the look of it, not even to use it. Your dad tells you stories about Star Wars Galaxies all the time. Did you ever get to play it, though? Meeting a Jedi happened once every blue moon, and it was always something special. Were the Jedi, like, people? Or were they... Oh, this is not the Galaxy, the Guardian? People say this is not the Guardian? All right, well, whatever this is, it looks sick. I don't know. I don't know what else. Let's see. What did they say is the Guardian? Oh, yeah, that does look different, huh? Well, that's good, because I was thinking that whatever they came up with for the Guardian was probably not the type of ship I would want to get. Awesome. Then maybe this is the type of ship I will want to get, because whatever this is, it looks really freaking cool. Looks like a fat TIE fighter. Yeah, it looks bulky. You know what I would hope this was? The Drake spiritual successor to Slave 1. For no other reason than because it looks like a really cool bounty hunting ship, and I feel like Drake would make it. If you die to the Jedi, you lost all of the XP and have a hard time getting your skills back. It was a super secret class you had to go through the storyline to uncover. Huh, interesting. That's cool. Sounds like it was a really, like, thoroughly thought out MMO with a lot of unique design. Not a fan of Drake. Thinks you just said we're live. Yeah, something was wrong with the stream key. As it does. It's technology being technology. Alright. I can't. I'm trying to find your channel. Let me go. There we go. All right, folks. Finally got it working. I'm going to head over there now. Oh, I guess I am. You can probably hear me on both streams. I'm going to head over there. And we are going to make some, like I said, some Turkish breakfast dishes. We're also going to continue to talk Star Citizen, base building, CitizenCon, all the things. I hope you all enjoyed today's stream. I hope to see you over there. One last time, here is the stream link for anybody on YouTube who wants to come and join us for a little bit. Really appreciate seeing the new faces and new names. And, I mean, it's our last time here. Trying to get a little tipsy for it, you know? All right, guys. See y'all later. If not during this cooking stream, then I'll see you on Friday with Luke. Have a great day. Eat something you love, hug someone you love, do something you love. You know how it is. Bye-bye.